media partner, Channel S, Mr. Farhan Khan. Welcome to everyone who's joined the Bangladesh High Commission London's Tower Hamlets Council Youth Climate Dialogue. A great pleasure to welcome you all here. The dialogue's name is the Bangladesh UK Youth Voices on Climate Action on the Road to Glasgow. This event is part of the series of joint events that Bangladesh High Commission London have agreed to co-partner with the Tower Hamlets Council in commemoration of the 50th anniversary of the independence of Bangladesh and 50 years of diplomatic relations between Bangladesh and the UK. The borough of Tower Hamlets bears significant historic linkages with the Bengalis and Bangladesh. It is where the first immigrants from erstwhile East Bengal and Bangladesh, mostly from Sylhet, landed and founded their homes. It continues to host the largest Bangladeshi British expatriate community, almost 50% in the UK, and also to the largest numbers of elected Bangladesh origin councillors and members of parliament, including Ms. Rushna Ali MP and Afsana Begum MP, playing an important role in British politics and economy, and of course, social and cultural prosperity. Equally importantly, valiant and patriotic Bengali expatriates from the Tower Hamlets borough have been the frontline actors and influencers who mobilized international opinion and political support in favor of Bangladesh's glorious War of Liberation in 1971 and led the Recognise Bangladesh movement. It is where Bengali curry industry, Bangla town, Brick Lane became synonymous to Bengali heritage in the UK. As for us in Bangladesh, Tower Hamlets and Brick Lane is where father of the nation of Bangladesh, Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, to whom I pay a deep tribute on the occasion of his birth centenary. He received the warmest of overseas receptions from his Bengali British comrades in arms in 1969, when he imprinted his footprints in the Tower Hamlets and its Bengali curry restaurants, and also at the Bangladesh Welfare Association Center. It is in this spirit, as Bangladesh High Commissioner to the UK, I agreed happily to a proposal from the Mayor of the Tower Hamlets Council, Mr. John Biggs, earlier this year, when he proposed that the Tower Hamlets Council wants to co-partner joint events with the Bangladesh High Commission London to celebrate the Golden Jubilee of Bangladesh's independence and 50th anniversary of our diplomatic relations with the UK in the historic year of the Mujib birth centenary. On 26 March 2021, I had the honor of raising the flag with Mayor John Biggs at the Shahid Altaf Ali Park and co-partnered in lighting of landmark public and private buildings at the Tower Hamlets borough. Today, I would like to once again thank Mayor John Biggs of Tower Hamlets Council for co-partnering today's Bangladesh UK Youth Climate Dialogue at the advent of the London Climate Action Week 2021, and of course, the COP26 at Glasgow, to be hosted by Prime Minister Boris Johnson's government. Ladies and gentlemen, in March 2021, on the occasion of the 50th anniversary of Bangladesh, the Diplomat UK magazine brought out a special cover story that they called The Climate Issue, ahead of the COP26, which gave the title, Leading by Example, Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina and the Vulnerable 48, Forging a CVF COP26 Climate Solidarity. It published Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina's cover story article titled Forging a Dhaka-Glasgow CVF COP26 Climate Solidarity, in which, as a top global climate influencer and the current president of the Climate Vulnerable Forum, Her Excellency Sheikh Hasina cautioned world leaders of our planet's climate emergency and how it may fail to protect our succeeding young generations unless, of course, the world unites to address climate change immediately and collectively. And I quote, "In our war against nature, we will only lose unless we unite to arrest climate change. We are consciously destroying the very support systems that are keeping us alive. What planet shall we leave for the Greta Thunbergs or those at the Bangladesh Coastal Youth Action Hubs? At COP26, we must not fail them," unquote. Having said these concluding words from Honorable Prime Minister's article at The Diplomat, I want to say that these are the very words of our visionary Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina that inspired Bangladesh High Commission London to make climate change the central theme of our High Commission's Bangladesh UK at 50 celebrations and engage young people from both Bangladesh and the UK, in particular the Tower Hamlets borough, a major influencer in British politics and climate debate, to participate in today's Bangladesh UK Climate Dialogue. Today, we will listen to our youth climate thoughts and expectations from the world leaders at the COP26. Excellencies, we are very privileged to have from both Bangladesh as our chief guest, His Excellency Mr. Shahriar Alam MP, Honorable State Minister for Foreign Affairs of Bangladesh, who has been our Honorable Prime Minister's youth climate crusader and a leading voice in international climate debates, and of course, a prime mover of Bangladesh-UK diplomatic relations. We are also honored to have as the guest of honor, State Minister for London of Her Majesty's Government, Mr. Paul Scully MP, who's also Minister for Business, Energy and Industry Strategy, dealing with not only UK's net zero by 2050 policies, but also London's net zero vision. Very significant at the advent of the London Climate Week. He has been a legendary friend of Bangladesh and the Bangladesh curry industry and diaspora community. We're delighted to have Rushnara Ali MP, the APPG chair in Bangladesh in the British Parliament, and also UK's trade envoy to Bangladesh. Also, she's the co-founder chair of All Party Parliamentary Group on the Rohingyas, who needs no introduction, but gives us pride as a Bangladeshi origin MP from the borough of Tar Hamlets. We are equally proud to have Mr. Naheem Razack MP, one of the youngest members of parliament, and also young parliamentarians of Bangladesh, founder chair of the Climate Parliament of Bangladesh and national youth platform, the Young Bangla. I want to express our gratitude to all these ministers and MPs for joining us today in our Bangladesh-UK Youth Climate Dialogue. We're also grateful to have CVF expert chair of the CVF Expert Advisory Group and global climate expert, Dr. Salimul Haq, who runs a special campaign of engaging with the youth in the climate debate. I would also like to express our gratitude to our two media partners, the Dhaka Tribune and the Channel S TV of the UK, especially Mr. Zafar Subhan, who's the editor-in-chief of Dhaka Tribune, and of course, Mr. Fahan Khan, head of programs of Channel S Television, for being our media partner and also joining us today to speak at the Bangladesh UK Youth Voices on Climate Change. We also thank Ms. Asma Islam, Cabinet Minister for Environment and Public Realm of the Tar Hamlets Council, who will also speak today. And of course, we have Anna from the legendary leading British think tank Chatham House, which is podcasting a diplomatic climate series leading to Glasgow. Ladies and gentlemen, immediately after the assumption of CVF's presidency by Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina in June 2020, Bangladesh High Commission London formed an open-ended diplomatic forum of CVF High Commissioners and Ambassadors in London. And we have organized, of course, we have hosted a series of CVF COP26 and CVF Commonwealth and Bangladesh UK Climate Dialogue and debates. Honourable Minister for State, Shahriar Alam MP for Foreign Affairs, British Minister for Environment and COP26 Minister, Right Honourable Lord Zach Goldsmith, British FCDO Minister for South Asia and the Commonwealth, Lord Tariq Ahmed, CVF Thematic Ambassador for Vulnerability, Ms. Saima Wazid Hussain, Special Envoy to Presidency of CVF, Mr. Abul Kalam Azad, our Environment Secretary, CVF High Commissioners, Ambassadors, think tanks and media, and our British Bangladeshi diaspora all participated in these debates and dialogues. In all these dialogues, Bangladesh High Commission London consistently drove home the expectations of Bangladesh as a global climate leader and, of course, one of the most climate vulnerable countries in the world, and also current president of the CVF, our hopes, our expectations, and our aspirations of the COP26. We also consistently championed building an institutional and strong Bangladesh-UK climate partnership, especially on the occasion of Bangladesh-UK at 50, working very closely with UK's Cabinet Office, UK FCDO, Joint COP26 team, our Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Bangladesh, the CVF Presidency and CVF Secretariat, and of course the British High Commission in Dhaka, parliamentarians, leading civil society and think tanks in UK, and media, particularly our British Bangladeshi media and our British Bangladeshi diaspora in the UK. We consider the recent visit of COP26 President, Right Honourable Mr. Alok Sharma to Bangladesh, which was most successful visit earlier this month, as a groundbreaker in forging Bangladesh-UK bilateral and multilateral journey on our road to Glasgow and beyond, and our collective efforts to partnerships to save the planet for our future generations. Also, in our each and every climate effort, the Bangladesh High Commission London has unequivocally championed what our Honourable Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina has coined as a paradigm shift in the climate challenges, which is called climate prosperity, the concept of climate prosperity, and of course the concept and the launching of the Mujib Climate Prosperity Decade 2030 on the occasion of centenary of our father nation, Bangabandhu. I'm very proud to announce in the presence of Honorable Minister for Foreign Affairs, His Excellency Mr. Shahriar Alam MP, His Excellency Paul Scully MP, and of course, other dignitaries, MPs, and young people gracing our program today, that from this year, Bangladesh High Commission London would have the honor, in order to show respect to our father of the nation, Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, on his birth centenary, and our Honorable Prime Minister, who has attached highest importance to conserving the environment and national biodiversity, we will be announcing the Bangladesh and to, in consonance with the Mujib Climate Prosperity Decade, we want to announce the Bangladesh High Commission London Mujib Climate Prosperity Youth Award, which would recognize each year from the UK and Bangladesh outstanding youth climate leaders dedicated to local climate action in saving the planet. We are also announcing a kind of a platform of internship, which we are calling the High Commission's Youth Climate Volunteer Program, under which young climate leaders of Bangladesh British diaspora can work with climate institutions in Bangladesh to create greater connectivity between the two countries. And last but not the least, we will, in our road to Glasgow and throughout Bangladesh's CVA presidency, create youth climate bites, short videos from Bangladesh and UK's young people to be posted on social media, especially our Facebook, Twitter, and Snapchat. May I conclude my inaugural comments by paying a tribute to His Royal Highness Prince of Wales, Prince Charles, Prime Minister of Bangladesh, Her Excellency Sheikh Hasina, and Prime Minister His Excellency Right Honourable Boris Johnson of the UK for their dynamic climate leadership and sustained engagements to move Bangladesh-UK climate partnership to unprecedented heights in this special year of our 50th anniversary. What is more important, at the same time, that I quote from Prime Minister Boris Johnson's video message on the occasion of 50th anniversary, and he said, I quote, "Today Bangladesh is one of the fastest growing economies in the world. We share the ambition to create an ever more prosperous and environmentally sustainable future. So I look forward to working with Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina and to seeing her again at COP26 in Glasgow," unquote. I thank you for your patience. I invite you to join us now to watch a short video clip that the High Commission prepared with our youth climate bites. That means young people from Bangladesh and UK who think about the climate. Ladies and gentlemen, please enjoy the short 2 to 3 minutes video.
Have a policy to increase our forestry at least up to 25%, so that our people, they themselves plant trees to make our country green, as well as the fruit trees to ensure their nutrition. There should be a balance. You have to build up the new cities, everything, but nature should remain green. This is one place, all are together. Every human being, they should use their talent to ensure a better environment and a healthy condition for our people.
Today, Bangladesh is one of the fastest growing economies in the world. And we share the ambition to create an ever more prosperous and environmentally sustainable future. And so I look forward to working with Prime Minister Hasina, to seeing her again at COP26 in Glasgow.
Assalamu alaikum. Greetings from Bangladesh High Commissioner to the United Kingdom. 2021 is a very significant year for global climate action and also the COP26 at Glasgow. It is also coinciding with the 50th anniversary of Bangladesh's independence and 50th anniversary of Bangladesh-UK diplomatic relations. To mark these special occasions, Bangladesh High Commission London, in joint collaboration with the Thai Hamlets Council, home to the largest numbers of Bangladeshi British diaspora, at the advent of the London Climate Action Week 2021, would be organising the first ever Bangladesh-UK Youth Climate Dialogue. We hope the dialogue would create greater connectivity and collaboration between young climate activists of our two countries. Towards that end, the High Commission of Bangladesh would be declaring the Mujib Climate Prosperity Youth Award, named after Bangladesh's founding father, Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, to acknowledge outstanding young climate activists from Bangladesh and the Tar Hamlets borough.
Hello everyone, I'm Saika Mohammed from London, and today I'll be talking to you about climate change.
Hello, I'm Richie from Borishal, situated in the southern part of Bangladesh.
Climate change has become a dominant frame for development thinking in Bangladesh, pushing aside almost every other environmental and social issue in the country.
Hello everyone, this is Alamin from Potuakhali and founder of Peace for Kuripaika. Potuakhali is located at the southern coast of Bangladesh and severely vulnerable towards climate change due to different effects like saline water intrusion, increased number of recent cyclones and super cyclones, and of course, riverbank and coastal erosion.
Hi, I'm Yusuf, and I'm a recent graduate from the London School of Economics. Climate change is now all too serious to ignore, and its imminence mostly threatens those who have all to lose. Bangladesh is a prime example.
Hello, this is Rebecca Sultana, President and founder of Youth Environment and Social Development Society, YESDS. I wish to thank your Honorable Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina for taking significant steps for the conservation of the environment and to save the planet. I think the time is today, not tomorrow.
There's the problem of a country with a lot of power lacking incentive to reduce its greenhouse gas emissions, and there's countries like Bangladesh who are paying the price for something that's not really their fault. So I believe the only way forward is by compensation. Maybe the developed countries should, for example, invest in flood defenses in Bangladesh.
Hello, this is Fahim Himel, volunteer of Team CS. As our Honorable Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina has mentioned at this critical climacteric, the planet needs the consolidated support from the international community.
I'm Tanjira from London, and I'm here to inform you that we are at a turning point. Climate change is truly a global crisis in which we all have to share the burden. But it's countries such as Bangladesh that are at the forefront of the profound repercussions of climate change, and that's due to our action and our inaction.
This is Sheba from Sylhet, the key district of Bangladesh, surrounded by hills, green forests and innumerable houses. Our Lawachara, one of the 7 wildlife sanctuaries in Bangladesh, is famous for its almost extinct areas. Baikopil is the only national wetland sanctuary. We need to act from today before it is too late.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Kaifa, I'm 15 and I live in London. Climate change is damaging our planet more than ever before. All countries have been affected substantially, however Bangladesh is experiencing some of the worst impacts. We must try to counter these impacts by making change. We are running out of time and change is crucial. So let's change our ways to fight climate change.
My name is Nahid. I am from beautiful Sylhet. Hakoliki Haur is the largest haur of Bangladesh. Proper management is required to protect the biodiversity of this haur. We hope the near future, young people of Bangladesh and United Kingdom work together on climate issues.
Hello everyone, this is Trina from Bangladesh, and I am a climate activist and the co-founder of the Earth Society. Children contributes to only 10% of the world's pollution, but prone to 40% of the world disease. So this is the high time for us to take action for greener and better planet.
Hi, this is Yasha Mannan, representing Rajshahi. My parent track is located in the northwestern region of Bangladesh. It is a drought-prone and water-stressed area. Bangladesh government has made this desert-like zone into a greenery one through several steps like irrigation in nature.
I am Shon Rahman, coordinator Youth for Climate Justice. The world's largest mangrove carbon sink and purifier of water and air, the Sundarbans in Khulna region. We have the world's largest natural mangrove forest, the Sundarbans, safeguarding our climate vulnerable coastal communities in southern coastlines.
This is Shahin Billah. I am from Satkhira, a coastal district situated at the southern part of Bangladesh. We want justice and a fair share of climate funds.
Hello everyone, I'm Mohana from Dhaka and I love my city. But it's suffering without trees and green. We have to do something about it and we have to do it right now.
I am Sushmita. I am climate warrior. I am from Chattogram, a place full of green and natural beauty.
This is Troiti from Bangladesh. I dream for a greener, safer planet.
Ladies and gentlemen, the time to take action to save the planet is not tomorrow, it is today.
Hashtag Save the Planet, hashtag Mujib Climate Prosperity Decade, hashtag Bangladesh UK Youth Bite.
Hashtag Save the Planet. Hashtag Mujib Climate Prosperity Decade. Hashtag Bangladesh Youth Bite.
Hashtag Save the Planet. Hashtag Mujib Climate Prosperity Decade. Hashtag Bangladesh Youth UK Bite.
Hashtag Save the Planet, hashtag Mujib Climate Prosperity Decade, hashtag Bangladesh UK Youth Bite.
Hashtag Save the Planet. Hashtag Mujib Climate Prosperity Decade. Hashtag Bangladesh UK Youth Bite.
Hashtag Save the Planet, hashtag Mujib Climate Prosperity Decade, and hashtag Bangladesh UK Youth Bite.
Hashtag Save Our Planet. Hashtag Mujib Climate Prosperity Decade. Hashtag Bangladesh UK Youth Bite.
Hashtag Save the Planet, hashtag Mujib Climate Prosperity Decade, hashtag Bangladesh UK Youth Bite.
Join us on 25 of June at the Bangladesh UK Youth Bites Youth Voices on Climate Action, the road to Glasgow. For listening to young people from Bangladesh and the UK join hands in climate action to save the planet. Thank you. Thank you very much from our team in Bangladesh High Commission London. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed it. So I want to thank everyone who contributed from Shatkhira, Sylhet, Rajshahi, Khulna, Dhaka, and from Tar Hamlets, London. There may be different students in different universities, but they all are Tar Hamlet residents. So I'm really, really grateful to everyone in their effort to save the planet. I now give the floor to Mayor of Tar Hamlets, John Biggs, to make his welcome remarks. Mr. Biggs, you have the floor.
I have been permitted to speak by the operator of this conference. That's great. The wonderful thing about the internet is we can have an international conference sitting at our desks and in our offices all over the world, and we're all together. And so I'll make a few comments, which I think I'm going to risk overlapping what Her Excellency has said. But first of all, can I thank Her Excellency, the High Commissioner, for co-partnering this Youth Climate Dialogue to mark London Climate Action Week. But it's part of a wider series of events. And we could almost stop after that video, because that was a very powerful testament by young people about the importance of this matter. Banish the thought that we won't be here forever, but they're going to be here longer than we are. And that generation will inherit a terrible legacy if we don't get ourselves in the right place right now. So I thank Her Excellency for partnering and promoting this event, recognizing the presence of two ministers, the State Minister of Foreign Affairs of Bangladesh, His Excellency Mohammed Shahriar Alam, MP, and also London Minister Paul Scully, who's another London Member of Parliament, and who we know, and who takes a lot of interest in the affairs of Bangladeshi community in the UK and of Bangladesh. And also acknowledging my good friend Rushnara Ali, MP in Tar Hamlets, and Naheem Razak MP, who is a convener from the Bangladeshi Parliament on these matters. And that tells you something very powerful, that we're working together. One of the reasons why Tar Hamlets is involved, of course, is because we are the heartland of the British Bangladeshi community, about a third of our community of Bangladeshi origin. And we're a very young community as well, which is particularly appropriate for a youth climate program event. This year we've been celebrating, of course, the 50th anniversary of Bangladesh. And we've also been celebrating the 50th anniversary of diplomatic relations between the Republic of Bangladesh and the United Kingdom. Her Excellency and myself and our speaker and others raised the flag in Al-Tabari Park earlier this year on the anniversary of the beginning of the independence struggle, 26th of March. And we're proud to be partnering a series of events over the next many months until December, the culmination of the independence struggle and the 50th anniversary year. As I've said, the British Bangladeshi community is the heart of Britain's in Tar Hamlets. And it's a very powerful community as well. People don't travel to London, which they have done for generations from all over the world, in order to take it easy. People come here because they have a hunger for themselves, for their families, for their knowledge, for their wealth, but also for their culture, for their nation. And so the engine of the London diaspora can really multiply the impact that we can have on trying to affect climate change in places like Bangladesh. That's both in terms of the community impact, changing opinion, making facts real, but also in terms of the knowledge transfer, in terms of the investment potential. We're a very densely populated area and we're affected massively by the environment. Our biggest concern at the moment is probably air quality rather than rising tides, but we have flood defences that protect us all in Tower Hamlets, but one day they will not be sufficient. So appreciating the role of the British Bangladeshi diaspora, and particularly the younger generation during this COVID pandemic is another symbol, I think, of how we have worked together, how we showed leadership. We know that just as COVID has ravaged in the UK, it has been causing severe harm in Bangladesh as well. The links we have make us stronger. The way we defeat this terrible illness are another sign of cooperation. So London Climate Action Week is, the theme is about harnessing the power of London for global climate action. And we're helping to shape the world's future into one that's net zero and equitable and resilient. And this week is obviously rooted in London, the London Action Week, but it's part of an international movement. And it's about using London's role and using our global perspective to spark climate action around the world. And again, I was inspired by the videos and by the testament of young people that we've just seen. Someone once said that all politics is local. So, you know, we have government ministers, members of parliament here who are in our national parliament in both Britain and Bangladesh. But for people like myself, I'm a mayor of a district of London. Our politics is very local in the East End here. And the quality of life materially affects the well-being, the health, the happiness of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people who live in our area. And it has to be a strategy, I think, to challenge the environmental problems that is owned by the whole community. So we became one of the first councils in the UK to declare a climate emergency. We did that in 2019, and we're at the forefront of attempting to address climate change. We have ambitious targets to make the council itself a net zero carbon emitter, and we're working with our partners to improve this impact further. It's going to be achieved through direct action, responsibility, policy, leadership, and facilitation. That's what my note says. But I think it's also about getting people to change their behavior. We have never-ending examples of people who love their motor cars, and yet they know that their motor cars are eating up the planet. How do we encourage people and persuade people to be leaders in that change? That's a simple example, but it's one that ripples through a lot of the activities we're taking. So our ambition is to be a net zero carbon authority, and we have plans to make our buildings and our other sources of emissions, our vehicles, our fleets, zero emitters. That on its own is a small payment, and we need to talk about the wider impact of what we're doing. So greatly appreciate this event. We had our first Tower Hamlets Council climate engagement event on climate change in March this year, and it was part of our strategy about building a bigger partnership with partners from all over the authority. We also in Tower Hamlets have a youth council, and we've launched through that youth council a 3-part challenge, which is about reducing our global carbon footprint. It's about simple things like walking for more than 10,000 steps a day, about recycling more, so not wasting things, about actively recycling, and we're recording progress through social media. We're asking people to nominate other people to build a chain reaction, if you like, of behavioural change. So finally, I guess I want to say that I really appreciate the Bangladesh government's initiatives to combat climate change. I think just to make it real, we saw in the video examples of the Sundarban and the impact of rising tides that will have on that area. A lot of Bangladesh is very close to sea level, and it will obviously be very seriously affected if the global sea levels rise repeatedly and continuously. And I think it's fair to say that Bangladesh is the single greatest large country in terms of population which will be very adversely affected. There are islands, of course, which will be inundated relatively quickly, but millions of people seriously affected. And so the leadership in Bangladesh and the leadership through partnership in trying to address and tackle this issue is vitally important for making us safer. And so finally, in closing, then I appreciate and welcome the High Commissioner's initiative, the award and the volunteers program. We're all heading towards Glasgow later this year in December. I may not be in Glasgow myself, but my borough our heart will be in Glasgow, because we, through our local action and through our partnership and through our education and through reinforcement of behaviour, and through influencing our governments and through naming and shaming if necessary to get behavior change and to get economic change, can create a better world, and we can avoid a catastrophe as well. So I welcome this event. I think the next speaker is my cabinet member, Asma Islam, but I think you will possibly take the reins and hand over to her, and she will tell you a little bit more about what we're doing as a borough to help bring strength to this initiative. Thank you, Your Excellency, and thank you, everyone.
Thank you, John, especially given that, your borough was the first to declare a net zero back in 2019. We have declared the Mujib Climate Prosperity Youth Award. Under the Mujib Climate Prosperity Decade, already 30 million saplings will be planted in Bangladesh, as Honorable Prime Minister plans to do it, perhaps within the next few years. And most of them will be planted by women and children. And this is a voluntary social forestry program that the government encourages under the Ministry of Environment and Local Government. And today we have Ms. Asma Islam, a woman member of Cabinet for Environment, looking after the lead on environment at the Tower Hamlets Council. And I'm very proud to say there are many women councillors and important cabinet members in Mayor John Biggs' cabinet. Asma, you have the floor.
Thank you. Assalamu alaikum, good afternoon to honourable guests. First of all, I'd like to start off by thanking Your Excellency for this event today. This in itself demonstrates how important it is to have partnership and partnership beyond our own local area and across the world. You've been a great advocate for climate emergency, and as we saw this powerful video before the Mayor had spoken, it really shows that her Honourable Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina has really put this climate emergency in the forefront of her policy, and making sure that Bangladesh is also leading and demonstrating the work that everyone can do. So I'm a councillor in Tower Hamlets. My name is Councillor Asma Islam, and I'm a cabinet member for Environment and Public Realm. So Tower Hamlets is a very special place because 32% of its population is from the Bangladesh origin. With Bangladesh being one of the first countries to be impacted from any climate impact, we found it's a double whammy for us, because not only is it a global issue, it's an issue for everybody, but on a personal level for the population in Tower Hamlets, this is not just the issue here in the UK, but an issue for home as well. Like the Mayor said, we were one of the first councils to declare a climate emergency March 2019, and I have to say that this took a lot of political will. This took a lot of work from the Mayor himself to put the council at the forefront, to be the first to want to declare climate emergency. And with that comes responsibility. With that comes a lot of work that we need to do as a council. I think the Mayor's covered a lot of things that we're already doing, and I don't want to repeat anything, but what I will add is one of the main work that we want to do is making sure that in the council operation we can work towards becoming net zero carbon, which we plan and we target to do by 2020, which is very ambitious, and we're working extremely hard, and we will meet that target. We also plan to become net zero carbon by 2050 for the borough, and actually we try and aim for earlier, even though we've targeted at 2050. Waste is a big issue for this agenda, and we as a council do understand that we need to reduce our waste and we need to increase our recycling. We have a very diverse community, and how we communicate with our community, how we get the message out is very, very important. And that's something that we're working on, so that we can bring the community along with us with this agenda. I'd like to give one small example of my mother, who is in her late 50s, and she recycles because quite often I tell her to recycle, and she recycles because she knows it's the right thing to do, but she doesn't quite know why. So with communication with my own mother and explaining to her the global issue, how her small recycling activities can help not just the local council, but the global scenario. And she now, is in a much better place to not only recycle, but she does much more than that because she understands. And I think this is the crutch of it. education, communication is really important to bring along all the communities from all different diverse backgrounds, especially from Bangladeshi background. And I think this kind of event and all those journalists that are here today on today's platform, I would urge that if we can work together in trying to find ways we can communicate to our Bangladeshi community on this issue, on the climate emergency that we are facing now, and how we can do small things, because the burden falls on everybody, and how everyone can play a small part. And that's a very important message. I think in the video, we quite clearly saw that the generation that's coming up, Generation Next, are expecting us, those are in places of decision-making powers, to do the right thing by them. Because if we can get this right, generations to come will thank us and will be grateful to us, and we have to do it for them. There's a lot of link towards partnership, and I'd like to give you an example of when we held a partnership event in March. We had East London Mosque, who have representation that have come, and they were talking to us about the work they're already doing. And I think there's a synergy here between being Bangladeshi and Muslim, that actually even in our own religion, 1400 years ago, the Prophet talked about how to take care of the world. And so there is lots of messages that we can actually pass on internationally, locally, that can help increase more involvement and volunteers to come and want to work on this agenda, and most importantly, making sure we bring awareness to this agenda. We want to move towards a circular economy, and that's something not only we can talk about here in Tower Hamlets, but we can actually talk about London, UK, and Bangladesh as a whole. If we can all work towards a circular economy, which will try and reuse, recycle, trying to reduce reproduction of new products, which will really help us to really move into a more sustainable, more locally focused activities that we can all do. And that should be really in the forefront in some of the discussions. And I'm really looking forward to hearing some of the young people here on the platform today. I'm happy to leave my details in the chat box if anyone wants to get in touch. I'm happy to communicate more of the work that we're doing here in Tower Hamlets. And I want to thank everyone here today that are participating. Thank you, Your Excellency, and your team for putting this together. Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you, Asma. We are running a bit late, so at this point, I want to thank you for all your voluntary offers to help and connect our, young people from both the countries. Young people, please put in the chat box. Asma has put her details. Please take it and connect to her at the Tower Hamlets. She's the lead for environment. Since this, we are running a bit late, I have now a request that honorable chief guest and guest of honor, they'd like to speak right away, and then we'll go back to the honorable members of parliament. First of all, I'd like to request Mr. Paul Scully MP, the Minister for London and Minister for Small Business, Consumers and Labour Market, to make his remarks. Paul, you have the floor.
Hello there. Amashab Bengali Bondu. Assalamu alaikum. It's a pleasure to see you all today. It's Your Excellency Salim Tasnim and my good friend, His Excellency Sharia Alam. It's lovely to be able to see you too, as well as colleagues John Biggs and Roshnara Ali, and indeed Nahim Razak MP as well. As John has said, it's fantastic that although, yes, on Zoom and Teams, I seem to have been stuck in this particular seat for the last year, nonetheless, by doing so, we're able to see John in Tower Hamlets, Muna in Kensington, Shir Alam in Bangladesh, and of course all of you as well across the country and across the world in our two countries as we celebrate the 50th anniversary of the independence of Bangladesh. It's a really memorable occasion to remind ourselves of the great relationship that we've developed over 50 years and more as Bangladesh has discovered, become independent, but then just progressed in so many different ways, and not least by being a pioneer in the work on climate change. I was really pleased that I was unable to join you in Tower Hamlets for some of the celebrations, but I was really pleased to play my little bit in getting the London Eye lit up in the colours of the Bangladeshi flag, and I think the Merlin Entertainments were only pleased to do that. One of the great icons of London, celebrating Bangladesh's momentous year. And first of all, I'd just like to also say to thank the Bangladeshi community, both here in London and indeed across the world, for the part that they have played in our COVID response. That's just being at the front line, whether it's in medicine, whether it's feeding the nations, and all of the support that the community has been right at the heart of doing, including pushing further the vaccination program that's rolling out in London and across the country, as I know it's working in Bangladesh as well. So if you do get the call to have the jab, please do go and get it, because it's so important for the recovery of both of our countries that we push on with this program. And I'm reminded of the likes of Dabrul Chowdhury, who raised so many hundreds of thousands of pounds in response to the COVID-19 pandemic, and he really brought that sense of community together. And I'm only too sorry that I'm not going to be able to stay for the whole event, so I'm going to miss a good few of the young voices live, but it is being recorded, so I'll try and catch up with it on Facebook afterwards. Now, if we look at climate change, sometimes for years and years and years, this has always been seen as a massive problem. It is a big problem, but it reminds me of a joke, an old schoolboy joke. How do you eat an elephant? One mouthful at a time. So we can sit there and can look at this big problem. We can all sit there and look at what governments are doing, more of which in a second. But actually, we've all got our roles to play, whether that's business, whether that's communities, whether that's each individual. We all have our roles. And I was really pleased that Your Excellency mentioned the visit of the COP26 President-designate, my friend Alok Sharma, to Bangladesh on the just earlier this month. And he met Sheikh Hasina, as well as other government members, ministers, climate change experts, and young people to discuss those shared aims. And they recognise the urgent need to make those ambitious and accelerated efforts to limit average temperature rises to 1.5 degrees above pre-industrial levels, and to strengthen adaptations to the impacts of climate change and set up finance and support towards those ends. And I think I saw one of the younger people talking about contributions, and because Bangladesh is one of the countries that suffer most from climate change, but it's not Bangladesh's fault. So it is important that this is a global effort, that governments come together to support each other financially, with initiatives, with constructive ideas and support as well. And the call from that visit was for increased climate action in the lead up to the COP26 summit, which is going to be held, as we've heard, in Glasgow in November, keeping in consideration the development needs, obviously, of individual countries. And so we have agreed with Bangladesh and the UK to exchange expertise, to share our technology, to facilitate partnerships, and to identify practical solutions to combat common climate change. Challenges, and I was pleased that Alok went to the Sundarbans mangrove forest as well, to be able to see for himself the effect of what we are trying to protect, as well as the effect on that environment as well. But there is a lot happening in Bangladesh in terms of just this week. I know your government announced plans to allow 5 coal-fired power plants to convert to liquefied natural gas as it's completed its review on future coal-run power projects. And indeed, in this country, we've made good progress in decarbonising the power sector, with coal fuel that was used for electricity generation stood at 65.3% back in 1990. And now it's only 2.6% in 2020. We're trying to wind that down. We're trying to build up our renewable energy within this country as well. So nuclear and renewables, which are both low carbon energy sources, accounted for 56% of fuel used for electricity generation in 2020. That was up from 22.2% in 1990. So it's more than doubled over that point. But as I say, it's not just all about governments. It's not just all about these big projects, although that COP26 looks at that and tries to get government leaders and political leaders to sign up to these big events. But it also shines a spotlight on what businesses can do. And my colleague, Andrew Griffith, who's the business champion for COP26, that works out of my department here in BEIS, the Business, Energy and Industrial Strategy, And what he's doing, he's trying to get as many businesses through the UK to join in on the international race to zero, where each business can do their bit, whether it's pivoting to promoting more environmentally sustainable products, whether it's just switching the lights off. You might actually see, if I stop waving my hands, the lights dim in this area because of we've got low energy light bulbs. We can all do our little bit as businesses to make it economically beneficial to do so, as well as the obvious moral benefit and the benefit for our next generations coming through. It's important that communities play their role as well. And it was lovely to hear John and Asma talk about the work that Tower Hamlets is doing as well, the forward-looking approach that they are taking and a holistic approach to take, whether it's getting people to recycle, whether it's looking at air quality, whether it's looking at green spaces and all of the other initiatives that Tower Hamlets and boroughs across London are doing. But individually, we can play our bit. And it was great to hear Asma talking to her mother as well, making sure that we're recycling, making sure that individually, if we can see that, make it easy for individuals to do the right thing. That's what nudge theory is. But as politicians amongst us may recognise nudge theory, that's just how do governments and councils and regional government make it easy for individuals to do the right thing. These are areas that we need to tackle in the lead up to COP26. This is why these sort of moments, when we all come together to discuss, to share our thoughts, to share our ideas, to share the urgency of the situation, that is what is going to make a difference for generations to come. Thank you very much.
Thank you very mumuch, Paul, for touching, base with us about your plans as Minister for London towards a net zero. Just wanted everyone to know that Bangladesh and UK are currently working on a climate accord where engagement of young people and exchange of young people and exchange of knowledge and ideas and technology transfer is going to be a key area of our cooperation. I now have the honor, by thanking Paul once again for being with us. I now have the honor to give the floor to His Excellency Mohammad Shahriar MP, who's still a role model for the young people, but I just wanted him to know that today in the young people who participated from different ecological regions of Bangladesh, there was a representative from Rajshahi, your constituency, sir. You have the floor, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, High Commissioner, Honorable Minister, State Minister for London and Minister for Small Businesses of Her Majesty's government. I hope I got it right, Mr. Paul Scully MP, and Mayor John Biggs of London Borough of Tower Hamlet, Rushnar Ali MP, Chair of APPG of Bangladesh at the UK Parliament, Naim Razak, my colleague, good friend, MP, convener of the Climate Parliament of Bangladesh, eminent climate experts, our other colleagues, and the target who are at the center of today's event, the young climate activists from the UK and from different corners of Bangladesh, or from both ends, from Britain and Bangladesh. And while I was listening only so far to the mayor and Ms. Asma and our good friend Paul Scully, I was scrolling through the chat box, and I haven't participated in last 18 months since we have started using Zoom or online meetings. I haven't seen so much of engagement. I have already seen more than 100 messages from all the participants and activists. It is fantastic. The level of engagement at our level in official other meetings, you'll be very lucky if you see 20 messages. But, I think we have seen already over 120 messages here. So, congratulations and the fantastic work that you're doing. And we are here to encourage you and to listen to you and carry your voice into the upcoming COP26 in Glasgow. So I thank our High Commission and Borough of Tower Hamlet and especially Mayor John Biggs for organizing today's event jointly. Ladies and gentlemen, you are all aware that Bangladesh, in the latest index that was published, ranked number 7th among all the countries in the world as the most vulnerable country, 7th most vulnerable country. And by the year 2050, things that we are hearing for the last 20 years, but 2050 now is only about 29 years away from today. And many of the youths who are here today will still be very much around and will be leading the progress and the work that we are trying to do today. That by 2050, 17% of Bangladesh, i.e. the coastlines, will go underwater permanently. And, that's really scary. Our very young friend from Patuakhali, Barishal or Satkhira, who actually spoke in that short video, they are already experiencing it, far from, Bangladesh, from the UK. When you come to know about this next super cyclone, Yash is going to hit the coastline of Bangladesh, and then next morning, BBC or Channel 4 reports that actually it hasn't hit Bangladesh, but it went to the neighboring country. And you think that probably those people are safe in Satkhira and Patuakhali, but they are not. The impact of those super cyclones are something similar to those slow poisons, that kills you eventually. And that's what these cyclones are doing, killing those fertile land and those arable lands, and people losing livelihoods, losing their dear ones, losing their cattle and harvest. And that's exactly what has been that's happening now in southern part of Bangladesh for quite a number of years now. And that's why we see a lot of people are moving towards central Bangladesh, north of Bangladesh, or towards Dhaka. That's which is largely going unnoticed by the world. But obviously, we are taking whatever we can in terms of resilience, building resilience and adaptation. This year, of course, you mentioned, and we are grateful to you that we are celebrating the Golden Jubilee of Bangladesh and birth centenary celebration of the father of the nation, Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman. And at the same time, we are celebrating the 50th year of our diplomatic relationship. And we cannot expect for anything better than what we are doing today as one of those programs that we have laid down for next 12 months. And also, this year has been declared by Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina as Mujib Climate Prosperity Decade 2030, an action plan. And that obviously charting a low carbon development pathway for Bangladesh. And I'm sure you'll appreciate that for a developing country like Bangladesh, it's not easy to commit to things that you as a developed country committed or committing, or other countries as well, not just referring UK. So that's actually a huge risk and a huge sacrifice on behalf of the government of Sheikh Hasina. We are also, while making economic growth, obviously, we opted for a low carbon pathway already. I'll come into that in greater detail in the short span of time that I have in a couple of minutes. 30 million saplings are being planted nationwide as part of this Mujib Climate Prosperity Action, mostly by our women and youth climate volunteers, like many of them are present here today, including many from the coast of Bangladesh, like Satkhira, Patuakhali, Barishal, and so on. Dear friends, on this history here of Golden Jubilee of Bangladesh, birth centenary of the, as I mentioned, that when, especially on this year, when UK, a good friend, a country like UK, who has been a historic friend and was always by our side, and the journey that we have made in last 50 years, the support that you have extended, we are very pleased to see that UK is taking the next presidentship of COP26 and onwards. And obviously, our other good friend, Alok Sharma, visited us, and I have had a good meeting, and he went on to, as Paul Scully mentioned, that he visited Sundarban, the largest mangrove forest, to get a first-hand experience. And he, with his prudent leadership, we are very hopeful that he will carry those experiences and present those to the world leaders in coming November. Bangladesh also look forward to UK's robust and ambitious climate leadership at the COP26 and beyond. And as I mentioned to Alok Sharma, that it's actually a new beginning, a new journey. We are re-energized, important member of this COP initiative, came back and, fully committed. And we also received the special envoy of President Biden's special envoy on climate change, Senator John Kerry, a couple of weeks ago as well. So, we are very hopeful that commitment that was kind of lost and evaporated almost a couple of years ago of raising a fund of up to $100 billion. And we had Alok Sharma who committed that he will be doing his best so that the world delivers that initial funding so that we arrest the global temperature rise by 1.5 degrees Celsius. It's obviously was highly encouraging to listen to Paul Scully, who eloquently laid down UK's as well as London's ambitious climate action plans, especially towards a net zero by 2050. We congratulate the UK for emerging as the first G20 nation to pass a net zero emission law and securing G7 commitments in recent times that we have seen towards a net zero and a global green revolution. So congratulations, and we are grateful to you for that. And also with our humble resources and capacities, we are doing our best, and we have quantified and submitting the ambitious and quantified NDC, which is ready, and I'm sure Mr. Salimul Haq, who is present here today, will elaborate on that. And obviously, he has his list of recommendations and demand. And one of the very few individuals in the room, not just here in the global room, who actually attended all the previous COP 25 COPs. So he has his great experience in negotiation, and so please, whoever who will be remaining in this meeting, please listen to him carefully and pay extra attention to his submissions. I also thank Rushan Ali. I think I'll be still logged in to listen to some of you, but I'm sure she'll be reaffirming UK's and her party's commitment and the COP20 presidentship's willingness to work closely with Bangladesh in coming years and months. And our presidency of the Climate Vulnerable Forum, and I think that's a great scope to work together, especially while we celebrate our 50th relationship. Last year in November 25 in Dhaka, I, along with my counterpart in the UK, Lord Ahmed, successfully launched the UK Bangladesh Climate Partnership Action Forum, which will work in tandem with Bangladesh, UK, CBF COP26 presidency collaborations. And we are already chalking out plan, or rather finalized the plan of our participation, and host or hold sideline meetings along with the COP26 leadership with the CBF forum as the most vulnerable countries. I think that's very important. It is perhaps the first time that the young climate activists of Bangladesh and those at the historic Tower Hamlets Borough that we are grateful and for since the liberation and for the last 50 years, as I said earlier, home to the largest Bangladeshi diaspora in the UK, are joining hands during the London Climate Action Week in forging youth climate ambitions ahead of the COP26 Youth Summit in Milan towards a successful COP26. So these are the right activities that we are lining up and doing and trying to make the upcoming COP26 a most successful one among all the COPs that has taken place so far. I therefore conclude by calling upon our young people and climate activists from Bangladesh and the UK to join hands and emerge as the greatest force for the good for your countries, our countries. Raise your voices at the COP26 and beyond, and be an asset to your local communities in saving the planet, people, and nature for successful and succeeding generations ahead. There is, as we say, there is no Planet B, and there is no plan B. So I thank you. Jai Bangla, Jai Bangabandhu.
Thank you very much, Honorable State Minister, sir, for your very encouraging words towards the young people. Sir, there's going to be the COP26 Youth Climate Summit in Milan towards the end of September, and I hope that the Ministry of Foreign Affairs would be able to support some of these young people who are from different ecological regions of Bangladesh. They're leading different organizations in Bangladesh which are promoting climate change, and they're trying to save the planet. Really hope that the Ministry of Foreign Affairs would play a leading role in sending some of them to the Youth Summit in September. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. I now have the pleasure, I know honorable MPs are there, but we have two designated speakers before them, and I think they will stay back. So I request first Mr. Zafar Subhan, who is the editor-in-chief of the Dhaka Tribune, which is the second most circulated English daily in Bangladesh. A very young editor, very successful one, who has been a Yale World Fellow, and he writes regularly. This is one newspaper in Bangladesh that is following the COP26 and regularly writing on the climate change issue. We're very proud to have him amongst us today, and he's also, his newspaper is media partner today. Zafar, you have the floor.
Thank you so much, Your Excellency. And I want to actually commend you in the Bangladesh High Commission in the UK and your British partners for having this event today. And as you mentioned, climate change is something which is very close to our hearts at the Dhaka Tribune. I'm glad to see that Dr. Salim Al-Haq of the International Center for Climate Change and Development is here with us today. We at the Dhaka Tribune have partnered with ICAD for many years now to try and take the issue of climate change and bring it to the forefront of discussion and discourse in Bangladesh, because of course, Bangladesh is at the front lines of climate change. Climate change is a worldwide global issue. You could argue it is the emblematic issue of the 21st century. And I think one of the things we have learned is that if we do not all come together as a global community to try and overcome this challenge, this is in fact the challenge which may cause the biggest difficulty to us is a human race moving forward. And of course, within that, there are certain countries and certain areas in the world who are more vulnerable to climate change. And as it turns out, Bangladesh, because of our geography, because we're a low-lying delta area feeding into the Bay of Bengal, we are absolutely on the front lines. There are other areas around the world, but I don't think there's any area of the world which is as vulnerable and has so many people who are as vulnerable to climate change. The good news, of course, is that as we celebrate our 50 years of independence, Bangladesh has come so far. We have achieved and accomplished so much. And I feel that we are ready and we have the visionary and inspirational leadership to, in fact, take on this unique challenge. But of course, this is something we cannot do by ourselves. And what really attracted me to today's discussion, in which I would like to commend all of the organizers for, is the imaginative joining of the Bangladeshi community in the UK with Bangladeshis here in Bangladesh. I always have felt that that is a combination, that is a connection we should do more to engender, more to foster. It has been wonderful. What I enjoyed the most, to be honest, was hearing the young people from Tower Hamlets and elsewhere speak on this issue, because I feel that, tapping into the reservoir of non-resident Bangladeshi or Bangladeshi origin youth is an incredible opportunity for us here in Bangladesh. I would like to see these kinds of connections made ever stronger. I would love to see us work closely together as two communities, the Bangladeshi community and the non-resident Bangladeshi community, and of course, all of our friends in the UK, and who, many of whom are here today, who have always been friends of Bangladesh. I feel that there's a great opportunity for us. And when I see and hear young British Bangladeshis, young men and women of Bangladesh origin speaking so eloquently, so heartfeltly about how they see the world, how they see their place in the world, how they see how they would like to make the world a better place, and specifically what their vision is for the land of their forefathers and foremothers, their ancestors, for Bangladesh. It fills me with a great deal of hope. It fills me with a great deal of inspiration. So I feel that this is a really incredibly worthwhile initiative. And I really commend, especially, like I said, Her Excellency is here. I think the UK, the Bangladesh High Commission in the UK has really done a great thing to, taking the lead in reaching out to the local British Bangladeshi community and trying to forge these ties. Because I think if this is a battle we're going to win, we need to mobilize all the resources which are available. And I think that this is one of the strongest resources we have. And I see other countries, for instance, if you look at the non-resident Indian community, if you look at the overseas Chinese community, they have been very successful in actually knitting together people inside the country and people outside the country to address these challenges. I feel that that's some place where Bangladesh could do better. And it's wonderful to see initiatives like this, which are trying to really bridge that gap. And on this particular issue, as I said before, I think no one here would probably disagree with the thought, with the notion of how seminal climate change is. As we address all of the other issues as a country, as Bangladesh, or as a planet, climate change is really the one issue we need to get right. Because unfortunately, for all of our achievements and accomplishments, we have done a lot in Bangladesh to overcome poverty, we've overcome hunger, we are one of the dynamic economies of the world. If you look at the annual growth rate, if you look at our GDP, our per capita GDP, all of these things have been, it's been a tremendous achievement for us. But if we do not tackle this one problem, then the danger of backsliding exists. And this is not a danger just for Bangladesh, this is a danger for the entire world. We have done more as a planet to advance in the last half century than perhaps we have done in hundreds or perhaps thousands of years. But the climate issue needs to be addressed. And other speakers will speak more eloquently, I think, when we talk a little bit about the challenges of keeping climate change, or keeping the average temperature below 1.52% moving forward, and what the stakes are and what we stand to lose as a planet if we do not succeed. So the stakes could not be higher, but this is one initiative. This is one challenge which we must face as a global community. And I love to see discussions and discourses such as this, which recognize that, because I feel that at the end of the day, we are one global community. And if we forget that deep underlying truth, then it's going to be very difficult for us to address these issues. And specifically within that global community, I love to see the brotherhood between Bangladesh and non-resident Bangladeshis. And I think together we can really do something wonderful. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Zafar. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for being our media partner. Some of your comments, we have noted that down. We can assure you, I just want you to know, and everyone to know here, that nearly 200 people, and 90% of them are young people from Bangladesh and UK, and mostly from Bangladesh, from different regions, have joined us. I just want to say to all of you, তোমাদের সবাইকে অনেক অনেক ধন্যবাদ for joining us. Young people are our future, and they're so enthusiastic. They're writing comments. on the chat box, so you can see some of their comments. I just wanted Zafar to know that, the our other media partner, Channel S TV of UK, which is the #1 TV here. We have Mr. Farhan Khan join us. He's more or less like, our partner and your counterpart there. However, he has volunteered. I could have put him here right after you, but he's volunteered. He wanted to listen to all the young people speak, and then he wanted to speak. He's a very talented young journalist. And
I know him well.
Yes, but he always works with young people, and so he's volunteered to speak, listen to them, and perhaps sum up some of the views that the young people will give. So just wanted Farhan to know, and thank you very much once again. We'll work with you in the future to do more with Dhaka Tribune on the climate issue. With these words, I have the honor of requesting Professor Dr. Salimul Haq before the two honorable MPs. Dr. Salimul Haq is the only expert from Bangladesh who's attended all 25 COPs. So, children, young people, whoever is listening to him today, you have this great influencer and a global influencer who is always writing at New York Times, or his views are being asked by CNN. So he's an international personality, but also he was member of the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, the one that won the Nobel Peace Prize, and now he's heading the ICCAD, or the leading international climate think tanks. But more importantly, when it comes to Climate Vulnerable Forum, he is the one who's leading the NGOs and the civil society. Salim Bhai, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Excellency. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, it's a great privilege for me to be here. As you just heard, I'm the director of the International Center for Climate Change and Development at the Independent University, Bangladesh, here in Dhaka, Bangladesh. Let me start by offering a couple of personal anecdotes and reflections. I spent nearly 20 years in the UK. I was based in London at a think tank called the International Institute for Environment and Development, where I ran the climate change program for many years. And I had a lot of opportunity to work with the Bangladeshi diaspora. I remember being in Tower Hamlets a few years ago, where we ran a very interesting program on climate migrants that was written, a script that was written by a British PhD student, Joanne Jordan, on climate migrants. She did a PhD on that, and then she wrote a very thoughtful script, which was played by school kids in Tower Hamlets. This must have been about 4 or 5 years ago. And then a couple of years ago, during the London Climate Action Week before COVID in 2019, I organized an event at the Royal Geographical Society in London to bring in the Bangladeshi diaspora on the issue of climate change. And the whole point of the exercise was to get the UK and Bangladesh to start thinking together about a global problem, not just about our own country's problems. Obviously, climate change is going to affect us, but it's a global problem. And can we, as two countries with a long history of collaboration, tackle this global problem together? The Honorable High Commissioner was at that meeting with us, and so was Sir David King, who was at that time an advisor, science advisor. He's now setting up his own group to try and look at the progress or lack of progress on tackling climate change. And one of the things that we did was we brought together faculty from universities from the UK and also from Bangladesh, who have a long history of collaboration. And we have developed an onward-looking program of work where we want to collaborate at the faculty level in teaching and research, but also at the student level. And that's where I want to just share with you some opportunities that will arise in the coming months and years. Both the UK and the Bangladesh side of this, and I'll describe the Bangladesh side, which is a platform of more than 50 universities and research institutes called Gobeshona. Gobeshona is a Bangla word for research. And we have a network of universities that are collaborating on doing research on climate change. But more importantly, in the context of today's meeting, we have a network of our students. We all have students, and the students are the best and the brightest. And so we have a very powerful and very strong network of students in Bangladesh, primarily university students, but also non-university young people as well. And we've got many of you here on this call today. We need to be linking up with your counterparts in the UK. And I know the school kids in the Fridays for Future are already doing that, but I think we need to do this much more strongly on a bilateral basis going forward. I'm hoping personally to be in the UK fairly soon. I'll be attending, if all goes well, the Glasgow COP. And when I'm there, I would be very interested in meeting with the UK counterparts, particularly in Tower Hamlets, to see how we can take this bilateral country-to-country initiative forward. And I'll conclude by saying that although we hear a lot about ministers, prime ministers talking about this, and you've just heard that I am one of the few people that has attended all 25 conferences of parties. I've been doing this for more than two and a half decades. I've heard many ministers and prime ministers say the same thing, but they haven't done anything. All right. So let us not put too much faith in them. Obviously, we want them to say the right thing, and we want them to do the right thing and deliver what they promised to deliver. But they have a bad history. They don't have a good history of delivery. That's why we are in the trouble that we are now. And so we cannot depend on them. And we need to be taking the initiative ourselves. And when I say we, I mean all of you, young people. This is your problem that we have left for you to deal with. And you need to take it up, and you need to take the charge, and you need to make us, the older people, respond to you. Not us tell you what to do, but you make us do what you want us to do. And if you can get your act together, then you can be an extremely powerful force in the global initiative to tackle climate change. That is not just lobbying governments. That's also obviously part of it. You know, go to the COP, lobby your leaders, but actually do things on the ground. Deal with the problem on the ground and reach out to your counterparts across the globe. In this case, young people in the UK, young people in Bangladesh. Let's get to know each other. Let's get to work with each other. Let's find ways of collaborating with each other. And I'm going to leave you with my email address in the chat box and invite every one of you to feel free to email me. And then we'll take this conversation forward in terms of what is it that can actually be done by every single individual. This is now our responsibility. It is not somebody else's responsibility. We can certainly recommend or we can advocate, but we cannot forego our responsibility. We have to do something as well. So with that, let me invite every young person on this call and everybody else on the call, if you're interested, do feel free to send me an email, and I'd be very happy to have a one-on-one bilateral conversations with you to see how we can take this forward. I'll stop there for now. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Salim Bhai. Dr. Salim ul Haq, very valuable comments, not to trust the politicians, but to do it yourself. Of course, this is our planet and we have to save it. Young people, this generation will be gone and you will be left with a planet which will be having high emissions and global warming. So it's everyone's responsibility, the private sector, the civil society, politicians, academics, but most importantly, I think young people. So please do take on that offer from Dr. Salim ul Haq, who's the head of the leading think tank on climate change in Bangladesh and has an international reputation of supporting young people. So please do go under his mentorship if you want to attend the Climate COP26 Young Youth Summit in September. I'm really trying to garner more support from you, from our Honorable State Minister for Foreign Affairs and now Dr. Salim ul Haq. And now I will seek the same from our Honorable MP, Ms. Rushnara Ali, who's a brilliant member of parliament from Bangladeshi origin, from Tower Hamlets. In fact, her constituency is, of course, Batna Glen Row, but we know that there are two women, very powerful MPs from that region. Ms. Rushnara Ali is not only the chair of all-party parliamentary group of Bangladesh, that means she is the one we always turn to from the High Commission if we can't reach out to someone in the UK government or parliament, and she is always there to help us. A very, very trusted friend of Bangladesh, but also she's very, very objective. She criticizes us whenever it's necessary, and she supports us whenever it's necessary. She's also Bangladesh's trade envoy. She has been the associate director of the Young Foundation in her borough, And, I would request her to particularly guide the High Commission to get connected to more young people in Tower Hamlets. We really look forward to getting more connected. And this time we had a great difficulty. We had to go to Queen Mary University because some of the speakers you'll see is from Queen Mary University, which is in Tower Hamlets. But also, we had to find people who were linked to Tower Hamlets. We were constrained that way. We didn't go for the rest of the United Kingdom, but it was limited to Tower Hamlets. So I do hope that next time we'll get more, information from our office on this. Rushna, you have the floor. And thank you so much for waiting and joining us. We're truly grateful.
Well, thank you, everyone. Thank you, High Commissioner, and Assalamu alaikum. Minister Alam, members of Parliament, Mayor Biggs, councillors, friends, and especially, of course, the young activists, young participants from the UK and Bangladesh. I'm really, really pleased to be part of this forum, the climate event hosted by the Bangladesh High Commission here in London. I'm sorry that we're not able to come together physically, but it's wonderful, isn't it, to be able to come together like this internationally through this virtual forum. The past year has been incredibly difficult for everyone, but one of the few silver linings has been that we have still been able to be connected, in fact, even more connected, because we've been able to take advantage of technology to be able to come together and talk about issues that matter. And this issue, more than any other issue, alongside, of course, the pandemic and recovering from the pandemic, which is affecting us globally, the two are on a par in terms of showing the pandemic has shown us what a global threat looks like. And as one commentator in the UK said when the coronavirus pandemic hit, that the pandemic was like a dress rehearsal for the climate disaster that faces us. And if we don't take a hold, I'm summarizing, if we don't take a hold and learn the lessons of dealing with the pandemic and the lack of preparation, the lack of health systems to cope and be resilient, societies to be resilient against the threats of things like the coronavirus pandemic, if we don't do that for climate change, then the disaster that ensues is going to be off the scale to what we've already seen and the damage that the pandemic has done to our economies and our societies. And of course, we've seen the way that poverty has grown by hundreds of millions as a result of the global financial crisis we've seen over 10 years ago, and then the pandemic. But within Bangladesh, we've seen some setbacks in terms of poverty because of the pandemic. And Minister Alam has already spoken, and of course, my good friend Paul Scully has already spoken about some of the economic threats and the vulnerability. And I just wanted to highlight one particular figure that stuck with me since I started my job as a Member of Parliament for Bethnal Green and Bow. And long before then, but particularly after I got elected, when somebody at an NGO mentioned that the climate change threat means that Bangladesh could face some 30 million people become refugees, climate refugees. Now, I very much hope that that's not going to happen, that we're going to take action. And it's the expertise of people like Dr. Salim ul Haq, it's the activism of young people across the globe that is going to help in terms of apply the pressure. We've already seen some of that with people like Greta Thunberg, who's been an inspirational figure in Europe. And I want to see the Greta Thunbergs of Bangladesh and across Asia and Africa coming forward and making their voices heard. We've seen the way that Malala Yousafzai has been a great inspiration to fight for girls' education and young people's education. And those two figures, in a way, from the East and the West, these two young women have shown us what's possible. They've been more powerful in their strength in speaking out against injustice, speaking out against the threat of climate change, and exposing the failures of leadership on our planet by those who hold power right now, the prime ministers that Dr. Salim ul Haq has mentioned. So I hope that those sorts of figures, the likes of, I mean, there are many other young activists across the globe, but it's people like them, young women, who have really taken these issues by the scruff of their necks and shown how it's done to those who are in positions of power. Now, that's no disrespect to the prime ministers across the globe and the chancellors, the finance ministers, and the ministers in this group, and MPs. You know, I'm one myself. But it shows how inspirational young people are. And I know you're all incredibly inspiring in the work, and you're inspiring us today in what you do. And I've had the great fortune of being a member of parliament in Tower Hamlets. And on the 40th anniversary, I held an anniversary celebration in Parliament hosted by the then Speaker of our Parliament, which was focused on the climate threat in Bangladesh. And we got thousands of young people to contact their members of Parliament, the then Prime Minister and the Deputy Prime Minister, ahead of the climate summit. I think it was Copenhagen, to try and get this issue on the agenda and to link the voices of young people in Bangladesh with school kids in constituencies like mine. So it's wonderful to see High Commissioner and the Mayor of Tower Hamlets, Mayor Biggs, and others working together to forge and strengthen those sorts of partnerships. And we need to see that at a national level between the UK and Bangladesh. And because of our combined connections, you know, 500,000 British Bangladeshis, actually it's more, it's going on to 600,000 British Bangladeshis, the majority are very young, and Bangladesh has a very young population. I think we've got a really great opportunity to develop from today's conference a campaign that grows into the tens of thousands and the hundreds of thousands, hopefully ahead of the summit and beyond, to apply pressure on the international community. And that's one of the things I'm particularly interested in. One of the things I've done in my constituency alongside my day job as a member of parliament is to develop the leadership skills among young people. So the charity that I've set up and chair has worked with thousands of young adults to become environmental leaders in the UK. Some of them are of Bangladeshi heritage, many of them are. Some of them have gone back to Bangladesh and started up their own charities and organizations. So on the campaigning side, on what you can do and your voice, this is going to matter. And as Dr. Huq and ministers have already said, we're here to support you, and we're going to be here to be willing you on, to encourage you, to connect you to people in positions of power, in leadership positions among ministers here in the UK, and also, of course, in Bangladesh. And your voice is going to really make the difference. The final thing I want to say is on the policy dimension. We've heard about on the 50th anniversary, and congratulations to everyone who's been involved with the celebrations in the UK and in Bangladesh for the 50th anniversary. It's wonderful, despite the restrictions, that we've been able to really mark the 50th anniversary in the way we've been able to across both countries. But on the 50th anniversary, while we celebrate the achievements of Bangladesh, we recognize the risks, and those risks have to be mitigated by making sure that pressure is applied on our respective governments to get a deal that allows us to provide the green climate fund that's needed for developing countries like Bangladesh to make the adaptations, to put the investments in to protect people and to help to reduce emissions. That staging post is crucial, and it's one of the things I've been campaigning on for over a decade. The international community, the rich countries, promised to put in 100 billion. People like Gordon Brown, our former Prime Minister, Labour former Prime Minister, on whose watch the UK's first climate change act, the world's first climate change act, was introduced, where my party led the way on all of this. He's been working with us to push that agenda to make sure that green climate change fund is replenished, so that we don't just talk about 100 billion, we actually have 100 billion, if not more, to help countries like Bangladesh to make those adjustments and to protect against climate vulnerability. That's how we're going to make sure all countries, rich or poor, play their part. The final thing is, of course, around decarbonisation, offshore wind. You've heard a lot about solar energy, renewables, green finance, and is really key, something I've been pushing as well, both from the UK, and green bonds is another area. And as trade envoy, I've been looking at some of these opportunities on how British companies can work with Bangladesh to make sure that clean energy is a source of both reducing emissions, but also increasing opportunities, increasing job prospects, economic renewal and growth, because Bangladesh needs to continue to grow, remarkable progress and growth despite the setbacks of recent years, but we need to make sure it's on a sustainable footing. And of course, poverty alleviation. I think it's wrong that our government has cut the aid budget and Bangladesh has seen a massive hit on its aid budget. It's important that they support the climate agenda, but they also support the poverty alleviation agenda. And while Bangladesh is hosting nearly 1 million refugees, Rohingya refugees, it's wrong-headed, and I have made that argument and will continue to do that with colleagues across different parties, including the former Foreign Secretary, Jeremy Hunt. We've made those arguments publicly and privately. So we need that partnership to be fair, honest, it needs to be robust, and my commitment to you is I will do that both to the UK side and the other side. I see myself as a bit of an intermediary, as someone who was born in Bangladesh, who's brought up in the UK, who's a parliamentarian here, but a trade envoy from the UK to Bangladesh. As a friend of yours, I'm really looking forward to seeing Dr. Salim ul Haq and many of you when you come to the UK. Let's really build on this on the 50th anniversary, make this a partnership that's deep, that is supported by the older generation. I'm falling quickly into that category, to will you all on, because the future rests on your shoulders now, but we are going to be right there behind you to support you and help you in any way you can, and certainly I will continue to do that. And thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you very much, Rushna. First of all, I'd like to recall that you celebrated the 40th anniversary, but you also celebrated 50th anniversary as the chair of the All-Party Parliamentary Group during the month of March, and we are grateful from the High Commission for doing that. But also you're the trade envoy, and you've put up a very, very strong case of the business case of how that 100 billion can be raised, but also where UK can invest in Bangladesh. Of course, you know that we don't have land. We hardly have agricultural land, so solar energy is not suitable for us, at least not on the land. We don't have the wind drought, so wind energy is not suitable for us. So this was discussed during Right Honorable Alok Sharma's visit, and we discussed the Mujib Climate Prosperity Plan, which has offshore wind and offshore solar, and of course, waste to energy. And of course, there's a target of by 2041, 40% of Bangladesh's energy should come from renewables. So there is the green financing of projects and technology transfer, but also carbon trading in a carbon market. These are the areas where the High Commission would work with you. And thank you for your encouraging words with young people. I would like everyone to know, before I move on to our very young member of parliament, honorable member, Mr. Naheem Razack, I just wanted him to know and everyone to know that I have met some of these young people in a climate dialogue by the British High Commission, I think, or Salim ul Haq, I can't remember, but he was there. But some of these, these young people, Coastal Youth Hub, Climate Parliament, Fridays for the Future. So Rushna spoke about Greta Thunberg. There are Greta Thunbergs in Bangladesh as well. So Greta Thunberg's network is Fridays for the Future. And I got to know these people through my Twitter account because they follow me. And I'm very, very grateful to the Fridays for the Future, who are all here today, I'm sure, because they've already following me, our program on the Twitter. So, I want to thank Mr. Naheem Razack, MP, for joining us today and for giving us opportunity to connect to these people through his young parliament. Mr. Naheem Razack, MP, needs no introduction. He's one of the youngest MPs from a political family, but who contributed so much to Bangladesh's war of independence. But at the same time, he's a member of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. He's the convener of the Climate Parliament of Bangladesh, also convener of National Youth Platform, Young Bangla. He's also been awarded with the Junior Chamber International Top 10 Outstanding Youth Personality Award in 2015 in Bangladesh. I want to request him to speak to our young people and of course to the policymakers on the other side of the spectrum, the United Kingdom. You have the floor, sir.
Thank you so much and good evening from Bangladesh. Honorable High Commissioner. Of course, it's a pleasure to be here. And the chief guest, of course, the Honorable State Minister, Mohammad Shahriar Alam MP, of course, our dear friend, Paul Scully MP. He's spoken regarding UK's initiatives. And of course, our dear friend and colleague, Roshan Ali MP, who has spoken regarding Bangladesh community engagement, UK and Bangladesh and so forth. And I want to actually congratulate the High Commission and the Mayor of the Tower Hamlet Council for organizing such an event. And of course, the title as such is Bangladesh UK Youth Voice on Climate Action. Now, it is very interesting when we actually talk about UK and Bangladesh, because Bangladesh is, in my opinion, is a champion in adaptation, and UK is a champion in terms of mitigation. So the partnership that is being promoted here is, of course, can bring about major changes. And of course, COP26 at Glasgow is of very important avenue and a junction for us, because I think the United States coming back to the climate talk brings a lot of renewed energy into this. And of course, the UK government has been very robust and very aggressive in terms of promoting the targets that has been set forward in Paris Agreement. So thank you for inviting me. And of course, I want to be very brief into my discussion because we are running over time. We all know why we are here. Of course, we want to build relationship, and the future belongs to the youth of Bangladesh, UK, and globally itself. I want to actually focus on 4 different words. One is sharing resources, collaboration, innovation, and action. So these 4, words is very, very important and very dear to us. And the youth that we are engaged here, I've been working with a lot of them. I've been discussing how we can make the change happen. On the ground, we are making, enormous amount of work in progress, enormous amount of contribution by our youth itself. But saying as such, these youth of Bangladesh and the UK, they need to build a bridge together so that they can work towards a common goal. We must empower our youth as leaders of climate action today, because by the time they become the leaders of tomorrow, it will be too late for their generation to prevent the damage that has been caused. Connected by each other, because the young people are connected in different ways, we are motivated in different ways, we are very capable, we are of course very energetic, and this energy needs to be harnessed. Hence, with this forum itself, I want to recommend 3 very specific agendas going forward towards COP. Of course, the first one would be provide necessary funds to ensure participation of these youth delegates from developing countries at the UN climate change meetings as a part of delegations, and of course, facilitating. Second, setting up a global challenges youth center in every cities or local communities. That can actually happen, the way you have actually engaged today, the Tower of Hamlet Council, we can engage more cities, with these youth communities. Developing information and communication technology tools that map, document, evaluate, and incentivize these youth-led actions in global coordination ways. So these 3 aspects we can work towards Glasgow. And of course, the bigger diaspora can come in and help so that the countries that are vulnerable, and of course, the Honorable Chief Guest has mentioned about Bangladesh being so vulnerable. I don't want to go into the details of it, the Mujib Prosperity Decade Plan. I don't want to go into those things, the Delta Plan. There's so many things that is happening. But these youth, of course, this young generation, they need to be empowered in a massive way, so they can actually create an ecosystem where they conserve their own resources and, of course, bring about changes in their own lives. When I talk about incentivize, it does not only mean that you give them the funding and they do their action-oriented programs, but also in terms of, as our dear colleague, Mr. Scully has said, that we need to also bring and give them the tools so that in business terms, they can actually create that opportunity in terms of these adaptations that we have seen in the recent times. So I'm very pleased to be here. And of course, I hope I can participate in Glasgow. Before I conclude, I would like to commend our High Commissioner, Mona Tasneem, for announcing such encouraging initiatives, including creation of a platform for BHCL climate volunteers, Road to Glasgow, and also launching the Bangladesh High Commission Mujib Climate Prosperity Youth Award. I'm confident that these initiatives would encourage our youth for more and inspiring them towards contributing towards a better planet. And finally, as the teenage climate activists, we are all very proud of Greta Thunberg has mentioned, and I want to quote and finish with that she said in the UN Youth Climate Summit in 2019, I presume, this is the time and the place for dreams. This is the time to wake up. Yesterday, millions of people across the globe marched and demanded real climate action, especially young people. We showed that we are united and we young people are unstoppable. So thank you so much for allowing me to participate. Hope I could actually be a part of this journey and let us all work towards a better planet. Thank you so much. Joy Bangla, Joy Bangla.
Thank you very much, Mr. Nahin Razak MP. You're a role model to all the young people in Bangladesh, and you're certainly a role model as from your climate parliament, where you have reached out to all these young people. I would not call them climate activists, but they're actually climate leaders. So you are no less an inspiration to them than Greta Thunberg, I can assure you. So thank you very much for joining us. And the 3 recommendations that you've given, we've noted them, and we will pass it on to the Environment Ministry of Bangladesh as well as the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, which 2 ministries will probably form the delegation to Glasgow and perhaps to the youth, COP26 Youth Summit. So, getting funds to support their participation, setting up a youth challenge, a global network, and of course, having information and communication tools. And I'll fall back on Salimul Haq. Dr. Haq can perhaps come up and work with us. We work with him very closely to develop such a tool. Thank you once again for joining us. Please stay back to listen to some of our young Turks who are so vocal and passionate about their climate zones from Bangladesh. Before that, we have, we now enter the youth dialogue, and the youth dialogue will be inaugurated by Ms. Anna Aberg from Chatham House, who is running a diplomatic, podcast where I've spoken with Anne-Marie Trevelyan, the adaptation ambassador of UK's COP26, and the dialogue will be summed up by Mr. Farhan Khan, who's always working with young people, and definitely, our dialogue just starts right now. So Anna Aberg, who's working on energy environment, the research analyst at Chatham House, you have the floor, Anna. Please say a few encouraging words for young people of how UK can support Bangladesh's climate change, and particularly young people get connected to COP and to the climate debate. Thank you. You have the floor.
Thank you so much, Your Excellency, and hello, everyone. I'm really delighted to be speaking at this important event, and thank you so much for inviting me. So I've been asked to say a few words about hopes and expectations for COP26, and then to provide a few thoughts around the importance of and opportunities for youth engagement in climate action. So starting with hopes and expectations for COP26. Well, it is a very important conference, and its main aim is to increase climate ambition. So firstly, when it comes to mitigation, it's really important that all governments around the world submit new or updated national climate plans, and that these are so ambitious that we keep on track for 1.5 degrees, as stated in the Paris Agreement. And progress has been made, but we still have quite a long way to go to be on track for 1.5. But COP is really not just about mitigation. It is also about adaptation, about loss and damage, about finance, and about concluding some final elements of what is called the Paris Rule Book, which is like an implementation guide for the Paris Agreement. In terms of finance, as has been mentioned before, it's very important that developed countries deliver on their promise to mobilize the 100 billion in climate finance per year from 2020. And in addition to that, I think there needs to be a special push to ramp up finance for adaptation and for loss and damage, and also to facilitate access to climate finance. Another issue related to loss and damage includes operationalizing what is called the Santiago Network on loss and damage, which is about catalyzing technical assistance for loss and damage. In terms of this implementation guide, the Paris Rulebook, it's great, of course, if a deal can be reached, but it's important that it doesn't undermine environmental integrity. So a deal is good, but not at all costs. So those are the few of the main issues for the Glasgow COP. I mean, there is a lot on the table and the stakes are high. And frankly, it won't be easy. I think it is important, though, to not think that everything revolves around the COPs. Sometimes these, high-level, quite contentious political discussions, they can seem quite far away from what's happening on the ground and in local communities. And to overcome the climate challenge, it is really important that young people engage in the international discussions. Yes, absolutely, but also at the national level and not least at the local levels. Because as we've heard today, many of the solutions, they are found at the local levels. And as everyone on this call knows, Bangladesh has long been a frontrunner when it comes to locally led adaptation or community-based adaptation. And it's so clear that young people are really contributing significantly to these efforts and showing a lot of leadership. And I really look forward to listening to what the young climate leaders have to say on these issues. So young people can and they do play key roles in coming up with solutions to climate-related problems and in putting pressure on politicians and business leaders to undertake stronger action to combat climate change and to adapt. And it's of course also true that those who are young today, they are the politicians, they are the business leaders, and they are the voters of tomorrow. So the earlier young people learn about and become aware of these climate issues, and the earlier they are kind of encouraged and empowered to come up with solutions to the challenges we face, the better. So as was emphasized by Professor Huck, I think the role of schools and universities is really critical. And this network that he talked about with the collaboration among different universities, I think that's really critical. At Chatham House, we're working very actively to engage young people and to tap into their knowledge. We have a panel of young advisors that provides input on our strategy and our different initiatives. We also have a project called Common Futures, which increases the engagement of youth based in Europe and Africa about politics and links them up with decision makers and experts and kind of helps them develop their thinking around some of these global challenges. I mean, there is a lot more that can be said, but I'm aware we're short of time and there are so many really excellent and fascinating speakers coming after me. So I'll stop there, but I'm happy to answer any questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Anna. You mentioned about Chatham House Young program for young people and young policymakers. But the High Commission would look forward to working with Chatham House, and if we can create any provision for young people for Bangladesh to work with the Chatham House, particularly those who are championing different kind of locally led adaptation and nature-based solutions. As you know, we have the largest number of solar home systems in the world. It has exceeded 5.5 million solar homes, and young people do support their locally led solar home. Now we are trying to create solar home grids, small grids, microgrids. So, many of the young people are working in this area. So if you're interested, we can have a dialogue some other day to figure out that how we can help young people connect to Chatham House, which is a leading think tank globally known. And you're doing a wonderful job on the climate podcast. So continue with your good work, but the High Commission will work on you on that. With these words, we now move on to our Youth Bites. We have the first speaker, Ms. Humaira Ahmed Jeba, who's Youth Net for Climate Justice from Sylhet. and she will speak on Lawa Chara Reserve. As you know, that Lawa Chara is a large, one of the 7 reserve forests of Bangladesh and also national gardens. But what's important is it is a sanctuary for rare species of plants and animals, including Hulog gibbon and Fair's langur, as well as wide variety of apes, cats, and snakes, including pythons, different kinds of parrots and magpies, and many other birds. I'm sure that Humaira enjoys her Lawa Chara forest, and you have the floor, Humaira. I'm going to quickly give floor to everyone so everyone can speak for 2 minutes. So please cut down your statement as short as possible. Thank you, Humaira. You have the floor.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. I am Humaira Ahmed Jeba, member of Sylhet Youth Team. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to say something at the event organized by Bangladesh High Commission in London and Tower Hamlets Council. Especially thanks to the High Commissioner of Bangladesh, Syeda Muna Tasnim, and the Mayor of Tower Hamlets, Mr. John Biggs, for joining us. Sylhet is a region surrounded by hills, green forest, and innumerable flowers. Sylhet Lawa Chara National Park is one of the innumerable forests in Sylhet, which is known all over the world as one of the tourist centers of Bangladesh. It is one of the 7 wildlife sanctuaries and 10 national parks in Bangladesh. There are many rare species of trees, many rare species of animals. This forest is famous for its almost extinct species. The government has been taking various steps to protect the biodiversity of Lawa Chara for the last 20 years by engaging with the people, such as planting new trees, including the maintenance of all trees, working on wildlife conservation. The government has already taken and continues to take various steps to develop Lawa Chara as a full-fledged tourism industry and to attract people to the region. If implemented, it will add a new dimension to the life of the people of this region. However, it is not only necessary to take new initiatives, but also to work on whether they are being implemented properly. Since independence, Bangladesh has maintained friendly relations with the United Kingdom like all other countries in the world. We hope that in the near future, young people from the UK and Bangladesh will work together on environmental issues, which will play an effective role in making the world livable for the next generation, including restoration of the environment. From the upcoming COP26, I expect we no longer just want promises. We want the proper implementation of all the climate promises we have been made so far, because our mother earth is almost endangered today due to this climate. We want to stand up to world leaders and talk to them directly about our climate rights and assert our rights. I hope you will give us the opportunity. Thanks everyone. Plant more trees, save the world.
Thank you, Humaira. That was wonderful. You made the most pertinent point that Dr. Salimul Haq was reflecting on, that leaders are making promises, and you said no more promises, but we want implementation of the promises. And I'm sure that, with your brilliant, commitment to climate change, you'll be able to participate in some of our programs. And we certainly would look forward to supporting you and get to the COP26 Climate Summit. Now we have Miss Tanzeedan Islam, and today we have more women than men, and I don't know, somehow we feel that women have more commitment to climate change from the student community. She's a student at Swat University of London, but of course she was a resident of Tower Hamlets. You have the floor, Tanzeedan.
Firstly, I would like to thank the Honourable High Commissioner, Syeda Muna Tasnim, for allowing me to take part in this prestigious opportunity to speak on a topic I'm very passionate about. As part of my studies, I've taken a module on the politics of climate change, focusing on policies that have come from the Paris Agreement and previous COP meetings. And I also write for the SAB, which is the Student Association for British Bangladeshis, where I've highlighted the urgency of climate change and its effects on ground zero countries like Bangladesh. Citizens on both sides of the Sundarbans in Bangladesh have been forced to migrate due to rising sea levels. As the world's largest mangrove forest, it has provided sustenance and protection for nearby villages. Its erosion and increasing salinity has meant that the area is gradually becoming uninhabitable. Moreover, it's extremely significant that afforestation of the Sundarbans occurs due to its role in carbon capture and consequently lowering global emissions, which is becoming more pertinent as we're headed for a 3-degree median rise. The UN Emissions Gap Report 2020 also found that in the last decade, the top 4 emitters, which are China, the US, the EU27, including the UK, as well as India, have contributed to 55% of the total greenhouse gas emissions with land use change. Fossil fuel carbon dioxide emissions have taken up 65% of total greenhouse gas emissions, despite innovations in harnessing renewable energy. Unfortunately, states like Bangladesh that emit less tend to be at the forefront of climate change disasters that result from such growing emissions. And in order to effectively lower emissions, we must work as one entity against climate change. Large emitters must take responsibility over small emitters like Bangladesh that are placed on the precarious end of the climate change spectrum to overhaul its systems and meet its domestic emissions targets, striving for more ambitious goals to tackle this problem. Time is running out. As youth, we have a vested interest to ensure that our own children can come to Bangladesh one day. We must come together to pressure MPs to vote accordingly and pressure our political representatives attending this year's COP to keep in mind Bangladesh and emphasize that the current climate mitigation measures are not enough. More must be done. Climate change is a human problem, so we must understand that the solution lies in our mobilization. As Saul Alinsky, the father of modern community organization, once wrote, "Change comes from power and power comes from organization. In order to act, people must get together." Thank you.
Thank you very much. Tanzida, you've mentioned, you focused on actually Sundarbans. As we know that Sundarbans is the world's largest mangrove forest, but it's actually a carbon sink. So she mentioned about carbon capture. And, you know, we should get a due credit for capturing the carbon. As you know, Bangladesh's carbon footprint is less than 0.4%, so it's next to nil, between 0.3 to 0.4. However, you mentioned many countries which has more than 12, 13, even 32. So it's not fair that, you know, while we have the Sundarbans, we should be allowed to do the carbon trading and carbon capture and should be given due credit and technology transfer to preserve our forests, Sundarbans. Thank you very much. And with those words, I would also like to acknowledge that, you know, we have today amongst us the special envoy to our climate, as you know, our Honorable Prime Minister is the president of the Climate Vulnerable Forum, and the special envoy of the Honorable Prime Minister, the Bangladesh presidency of the CVF, Mr. Abul Kalam Azad, who is former principal secretary to our Prime Minister and currently her special envoy. He has joined us today, so he's actually listening to all of you, and he wants to say something. You know, we really want to request him to say something, particularly how our Honorable Prime Minister and the CVF presidency is committed to giving space and voice to young people. Sir, you have the floor. If you're there, sir, please say something to our young people from both Bangladesh and UK.
Yes, thank you very much. It's a great pleasure for me that I could join this event. It's a brilliant event. I congratulate High Commission in London and also the diaspora, those who joined. It's a great, it's a big gathering, more about 150. So all young people, I feel very encouraged. Just I was hearing the delivery of the last speaker, very encouraging. So knowledgeable. So I feel ashamed that so knowledge you have, and I strongly understand and believe that with your leadership in future, Bangladesh will be reach to its destination, which our Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina has started. As Excellency High Commissioner was mentioning, that Bangladesh is now representing 48 countries, 48 vulnerable countries of the globe from last year. And as a leader of the globe, Bangladesh in last October discussed with all the leaders of the globe to have their enhanced commitment of NDC, that how best you can reduce the carbon emission, reaching the net zero carbon emission. And you will be happy to know the Honorable Prime Minister, she declared one plan which we call Mujib Climate Prosperity Plan. You know, in 1970, the cyclone Bola, it took 500,000 lives. The same magnitude Amphan last year could take only 100 or near. A single life is very important, but you see how we become a resilient country from 500,000 to 100. So now, Honorable Prime Minister, she declared that we will not be happy with this resilience. We need to be a climate prosperous country. You see, so many innovative ideas are being developed in our country. How best we can utilize the saline water, how we can have the saline tolerant variety of rice, drought tolerant variety of rice, how we can use the sea water for harnessing and the stream culture. So many. You see, in the southern part of our country, we have 2-storied or 3-storied agriculture. In the water there is fish, on the water there is raft-like, so vegetables are being cultivated, and on the raft there is again another structure, crippling vegetables are there. So innovative ideas in Bangladesh, these are being led by the Prime Minister, and you the young people, you will carry forward this stick of development in future. At Bangladesh, in COP26 in Glasgow, we want to have a Glasgow Dhaka declaration. We are working on this. High Commissioner Mona, she is also very much engaged with this. Yesterday and day before yesterday, we had a discussion in the Latin America region. Globally, we will be having this discussion also. So I will be hearing, I will be connected. I will love to hear more. I want to stop here. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Special Envoy, for joining us spontaneously. I know I just sent you an invitation over the WhatsApp, and thank you so much for joining, sir. So as you can see, we have more than 20 young people who have volunteered to speak at this occasion, and some of them, about 50% are from Tower Hamlets Borough, or somebody who had lived there and now is a student there. And the 50% is from Bangladesh, sir. Both sides we can take pride in, because they're only our diaspora. So we are trying to create this connectivity. What's important, sir, is that some of these leaders in climate change, which they have their own locally led institutions or think tanks while they're working, being climate activists. We hope that, sir, from your Prime Minister's office and your Special Envoy of CVF, you'd be able to support their participation in some of our climate events. This will really connect them to the national agenda, because they are now in the fringe, but I have reached out to them through social media. So we do hope that we'll get some guidance from you in the future, sir, and we'll bring it to you. Not only as CVF presidency, but I know that generally nationally you get interest in young people, because you are the chairman of the National Scouts. So thank you very much for joining us. I now have the pleasure of, and sir, please stay back to listen to some of these young people. You'll be amazed how committed they are. I now have Ms. Saila Shabnam Ritchie, who represents the Coastal Youth Action Hub from Barishal region. As you know, Barishal used to be the food it's called the Shosho Bhandar of Bangladesh. So it used to be the crop fields of Bangladesh, and there is a 200-year-old floating guava market in Barishal, and Ritchie represents that very prosperous region of Bangladesh. We were talking about, our Honorable Special Envoy was talking about floating vegetable gardens. These are nature-based solutions that has been there since time indigenous in Bangladesh, and our scientists have invented salinity-resistant and drought-resistant rice. Now, these are the innovations for which Bangladesh is famous all over the world in adaptation and resilience. Shaila, you have the floor to talk on Barishal and your climate challenges.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Assalamu alaikum. I am Shaila Shabnam Ritchie from Bangladesh. I'm working with the Coastal Youth Action Hub Barishal. First of all, I thank the High Commissioner of Bangladesh to the UK, Her Excellency Saida Mona Tasneem, and the Tower Hamlets Council Mayor John Biggs for organizing this event. Our Barishal is in the southern part of the country. Low rainfall or high tides are actually submerging vast areas due to climate change. As a result, the common people of those areas lose their livelihood because they're mostly farmers by their profession. In that case, they adapted to this sudden change in the environment and choose the floating agricultural method for their livelihood. The Bangladesh government undertook a 1.6 million project in 2013 to continue this floating agricultural system in various parts of Bangladesh, including the south. In addition, various non-governmental organizations have been assisting farmers since 2007. In this case, a farmer earns 140 per 100 square meters of land per season. About 1200 of districts are involved in this floating agriculture. According to a report by the FAO, 60% of the people in the south are involved in floating agriculture. As a result of climate change, about 48% of the people in south are homeless, and most of them are involved in floating agriculture. Since this floating agriculture is greatly improving our socio-economic condition, the young society of the country, including the prominent people of the country, are helping the farmers in this way in various ways. Since there is no alternative to floating agriculture to survive in the adverse environment created by climate change, we want to spread floating agriculture of all the parts of our country so that no one is deprived of livelihood. In this case, we want to address this adverse situation through our government, non-governmental organizations, prominent individuals, young people, and foreign aid. Farmers need to make arrangements so that they get all the help they need for floating farming. We will make the farmers involved in this work more qualified through proper training, through the joint efforts of all of us. Lastly, we want the common man to be given all the help he needs to make a living through floating farming. They need to be trained through proper training so that they can cultivate better. Again, since we use water hyacinth in our farming, sorry, can you hear me? Can I be heard? Okay, I'm continuing. It is possible to do eco-friendly. Hello?
We can hear you.
Okay, I'm sorry.
We can hear you. You can finish.
Okay, it is possible to do. Yes, thank you. It is possible to do eco-friendly farming in other countries as well. And we want more research on floating agriculture so that we can improve our quality of living standards in harmony with nature. At last, I just want to say that at least this prosperity decade, we want exact promises from the global leaders at this COP26. The global leaders must not fail us with empty promises and summits in this COP26. Thank you. We want justice. We want our climate justice right here, right now. Joy Bangla.
Thank you, Shaila. Thank you so much for your extremely inspiring speech. You have brought out what is our pride, and this has been discussed. You know, we had articles on our floating agriculture in New York Times. There were articles in Wall Street Journal, and you know, the world is taking note of this. And you mentioned that there has to be much more floating agriculture in rest of Bangladesh, so that anytime we go underwater should not be an issue. You also talked about promises, and of course, you talked about that, you know, the decade. And I know that Honorable Special Envoy is here. Our Honorable Prime Minister is not talking about summits. She's actually talking about action. So there's a Mujib Climate Prosperity Decade and an action plan. And I hope that the Honorable Advisor would include, a Special Envoy would include young people. There should be a CVA Bangladesh Presidency youth forum where they can join and give in their ideas, and you can find out exactly how they're working at the local level in locally led adaptation and resilience programs. I now have the pleasure of giving the floor to Abu Yusuf Furqan, President of Bangladesh Society at the London School of Economics. Furqan had lived in the Tower Hamlets, or been there at some point, so he qualifies to speak here. Furqan, you have the floor.
Thank you so much, and good afternoon to all the honorary guests and Her Excellency, the High Commissioner. I would like to focus my words on a Native American proverb, which has had a profound impact on me. It goes, "We do not inherit the land from our ancestors, we borrow it from our children." For me, this proverb perfectly sums up the root issue of climate change. Our current global system is very much under the impression that we have indeed inherited this earth. Thus, our policies and attitudes toward it reflect this nature. The adverse impacts of our actions are simply inconvenient after effects: the rising temperatures, the melting of the ice caps, and the increase in floods. The last consequence is one that is very close to home for me. Growing up in the UK as a British Bangladeshi, Bangladesh's greatest claim to fame in my secondary school classroom was that it would sink by the year 2050. It seemed like an inevitability. Regular news reports of flooding leading to mass migration, blackouts, road communication disruption. This was the unfortunate reality that the Bangladeshi people would simply have to accept. But thank goodness I carried on studying beyond year 10 geography. Now, as a graduate, I can see light at the end of the tunnel, but it's still dim. The ending of the native proverb demonstrates a necessary paradigm shift. To start to think of the land we inhabit as a debt owed, we need to consider how we can pay the least interest on it. Our global leaders must move on from hollow pacts and empty words of solidarity to tangible action, such as investing in the protection of ecosystems, focusing policy on sustainability, and combating pollution. All of these efforts implemented globally can help bring about change, especially to those directly suffering the consequences. In regards to this, I would like to commend the efforts of the Bangladeshi government to tackle climate change as a high priority issue. I hope we all have the chance to reflect on today's discussion and can implement changes in our own lifestyles, because we do not inherit the land from our ancestors, we borrow it from our children. Thank you all for listening.
Thank you so much. What a wonderful piece of advice for all of us, that we don't inherit it, it's a loan. The planet is on loan actually to us, and we need to look after it. Thank you very much, Yusuf Khan. We hope that you will stay with the High Commission and get more friends to stay connected with us through the volunteer program. And if you want to go to Bangladesh to work with any of the climate institutions and think tanks, please let us know, even with the government or even with the CVF Secretariat, any kind of connectivity that want to create, the High Commission will facilitate that. Now we have Ms. Yasha Manan, YouthNet Rajshahi, the Barint region, which we know is going under desertification, and but then there are innovative ways of doing the crop. Yasha is from Rajshahi, and we had our Honorable State Minister. I wish that he was here to listen to her. Yasha, you have the floor.
Thank you. Assalamu alaikum. This is Yasha. I'm working with YouthNet for Climate Justice. I thank Bangladesh High Commissioner to the UK and Tower Hamlets Mayor for arranging this event and giving me the opportunity to speak here. I'm representing, as you all know, the Barint Tract of Rajshahi, which is in the northwestern region of Bangladesh. In Barint Tract, surface water sources are very limited. Rainfall is very less compared to the other parts of Bangladesh. And almost 80% of the rainfall occurs during the monsoon. So high temperature prevails in this area during dry period, and which goes above 35 degrees Celsius. So due to the high elevation of the Barint in one part, it is the groundwater, rainfall is the only source of the groundwater recharging, but the lowest amount of rainfall occur in this part. So this is why it is the severely drought prone area, and droughts, high temperature, less rainfall are some of the natural hazards here. And due to this, the main victims are the farmer community. So to reduce these environmental challenges, some steps have already been taken, but like the water, river and canals excavation and tree plantation, like the renewable energies and some other tips. But we think that more steps should be taken to solve this drought problem and water crisis, like the ecosystem-based approaches to adaptation in this area is very crucial for the farming system. And as we know that climate change has already started posing a serious threat to the fisheries, agriculture, forestry. So there is no alternative to adopt effective measures to address this complex situation. And I think the emphasis should be given on the integrated water resource management, besides creating a mass awareness about the judicious use of both surface and groundwater management for reducing the pressure of on groundwater. YouthNet for Climate Justice is already started engaging the passionate young minds to who actually wants to make a change and work on a water crisis, like water related issues, like the complex issues like water security and transboundary water governance issues. They want to know about these issues and work on the humanitarian dimensions. So I would request and regarding the upcoming COP26 and urge you to include the more youth people in decision making table, like meaningfully hearing what they have to say, their voice, and recognize ecocide as international crime and protect the human rights. And that is all. Thank you for hearing me. Thank you.
Thank you very much there. Yasha Manan, you had brought out the climate justice and the human rights, climate change and human rights connectivity and the correlation between the two. There's a great injustice that's been done to Bangladesh and many other climate vulnerable countries whose contribution to global emissions is negligible, next to nil, but they're suffering because of somebody else's climate GHG emissions. So definitely, this climate justice aspect, we hope that UK at the Glasgow summit, UK would be speaking about climate justice and loss and damage issue. You have mentioned about Yabarin Tract and desertification, lack of groundwater, and how we protect, we reserve rainwater, and at the same time integrated water management system. And I know that, our Honorable Prime Minister has got Delta Plan 2100, which is exactly the integrated water management, but it's not easy. Huge funds are required to manage water, but we are on the right track. Thank you for your comments. We have now Sadia Rahman, who's a student of Queen Mary University at the Tower Hamlets Borough. You have the floor, Sadia.
Hi, thank you so much. I'd like to thank Her Excellency, High Commissioner, and all distinguished guests. I feel extremely honored to be here today, joining into this dialogue and sharing my thoughts on an extremely crucial topic. As we all know, climate change includes both global warming driven by human-induced emissions of greenhouse gases and the resulting of large-scale shifts in weather patterns. Though there have been previous periods of climatic change, humans have had an incredible impact on a global scale since the mid-20th century. Bangladesh is exceptionally vulnerable to climate change despite its very little contribution, and it has been estimated that by 2050, 1 in every 7 people in Bangladesh will be displaced by climate change. This means up to 18 million people may have to relocate due to the rise of sea levels alone. Climate change is a topic that seemingly demands all of our attention in the contemporary moment, contouring discussions of economy, ecology, politics, and society as a whole. Climate change is deeply embedded in Bangladesh's policy planning. Many of the most common cited impacts of climate change are often also caused by other local environmental and development issues. Take salinity intrusion, for example. International and national media often depict salinity intrusion as a major issue, and it is. 2 main explanations are given for this deeply problematic situation. One that affects the availability and quality of arable land. As sea levels rise, more seawater will enter the Bengal Delta and the salinity levels will also increase. And as cyclones and tidal surges become more frequent, more seawater from the ocean will be carried inland containing freshwater sources. Climate change has become the dominant frame for development thinking in Bangladesh, pushing aside almost every other environmental and social issue in the country. As a result, the structural causes of vulnerability are often internalized, normalized, and taken for granted. Rather than just climate-proofing development efforts, we as a global community need to tackle the contextual factors that produce vulnerability and marginalization in the first place. As a British Bangladeshi, I hope that the UK host of this year's COP in Glasgow will strongly stand for ensuring climate financing for addressing the loss and damage of extremely vulnerable nations such as Bangladesh. I thank you all.
Thank you very much, Sadia. You brought out a very pertinent point. We are looking towards our expectations from COP26 is that UK, we didn't happen for the last 5 COPs. The Santiago network hasn't been activated, and there was a mechanism for loss and damage. And we're looking towards UK's COP26 presidency to bring about a permanent solution to this loss and damage issue, climate justice. You also spoke about salinity intrusion in Bangladesh. This is a major problem. And, like you mentioned, the innovation of salinity resistant crops, but that doesn't mean that we are not going to go underwater by 2050. So, we do hope there'll be climate financing to support our adaptation and resilience program. We now have Shushmita Sultana Shornali from Bangladesh Model Youth Parliament from Chattogram, Cox's Bazar and Hill Tract. You have the floor, Shushmita. Shushmita, you have to unmute your mic.
Thank you, ma'am. Greetings to everyone. I hope all of us are doing well. I'm Shushmita Sultana, working with Bangladesh Model Youth Parliament, Chittagong District. I am cordially thanking Bangladesh High Commission and Tower Hamlet for organizing this event and giving me the floor to say a few words. I also want to thank Her Excellency Saida Muna Tasnim and the Mayor of Hamlet, John Biggs, for being with us and supporting us. Chattogram is a place which is full of green and natural beauty, with the breathtaking beautiful sight of hills and countless waterfalls. The city also offers yet another normalizing view of the Bay of Bengal. The district and the hill tracks like Bandarban, Khagrachari, Rangamati also adds to the attraction of this piece of heaven. But this beauty is now threatened. Cox's the home of longest sandy beach in the world, is suffering. It is suffering from overpopulation because of harbours Rohingya refugees from Myanmar, which is good from the perspective of humanity. But the environment is paying the price for the lack of proper care. To make room for refugees, forests are being cut down, agricultural lands are being destroyed. Due to mismanagement of waste from the refugees camps, which is the water sources for irrigation, are being polluted. To meet the extra demand of groundwater, level of that is falling by the day. The impact on labor price has also been hard for the locals, as the cheap labor from the refugees has drastically reduced the rate of pay for daily labor, which in turn reduced the participation of host community in the labor industry. Some parts of the district are also suffering from over-salinity. Prices of raw materials and daily necessities are also soaring. Now, to be clear, neither the locals nor the Rohingyas deserve blame for those outcomes. But all of those problems are solvable by effort and proper management, which we are dedicating ourselves to do. Many private and public organizations are working towards the same goals. Besides Cox's Bazar, people in the hill districts like Rangamati, Bandarban, and Khagrachari face regular threats to life and property due to environmental calamities. Landslides are common in those places during monsoon. Other places in the plain region of Chattogram district are facing severe water logging even in the slightest rainfall. The burden of the losses is mostly on the poor people of the locality. Sources of drinking water are heavily polluted or saline. In this situation continues, the natural beauty and the hope for a prosperous future for the people in this area would disappear in a very short time, which any person with the right sense would not want to watch. I believe the upcoming COP26 would leaders can and must success to work together to create a green, healthy, and resilient future for all us. I am an activist and I am a climate warrior. I seek to live a beautiful future and a beautiful city for the future generation, and work for all of humanity where everyone is happy and proud to live in. We the youth shall make it possible because we don't stop. Save Earth, green forest will be ensured by the unstoppable youth. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Shushmita. You're a climate warrior, and I thought that you're a young person who's very aware of her city, or representing the model youth parliament from Chattogram, particularly Cox's Bazar and Hill Tracts. And you've mentioned quite a few central and fundamental problems there, including the over-exhaustion of felling of trees because of the Rohingya refugee camps, and over-salinity in drinking water, critical issues, and I'm sure the government is looking into it. So we will convey this in the summary of what you say. But thank you very much for your contributions. We now have a year 10 student from Tower Hamlets Oakland Secondary School, Ms. Kaifa Rahman. I would request her to limit her comments to 1.5 minutes because we're running out of time. And I would also take this opportunity to ask Mr. Farhan Masood Khan, would you like to speak before these students? We have about 6 speakers now after the Oakland speaker, but if he would like to speak now or later. So after, we now give the floor to year 10, Oakland Secondary School, Ms. Kaifa Rahman. You have the floor, Kaifa.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. My name is Kaifa Rahman. I'm 15 years old and I live in East London. Thank you very much for having me. So environmental issues have started to become discussed as a serious topic in the past millenniums after the Industrial Revolution, as we have started to notice the natural changes occurring due to the damage we are doing to our planet. We have been warned multiple times of the dangers that climate change can have on our ecosystems and futures, yet people still repress it and ignore all warnings. So today I will simply provide a reality check and show what we can do to save our planet.
এখন বলতে পারি, অসুবিধা নেই, এখন বলতে পারি, up to you, I have no speech শেষ হয়ে গেছে.
I'll just finish my speech and then, yeah, okay. The biggest threat that Bangladesh is facing right now is climate change. The country is currently less than 5 meters above sea level, and if global warming continues to increase,
ওইটা আমি একটু সামারি করেছি, অসুবিধা নেই.
Okay, so Bangladesh is currently less than 5 meters above sea level, and if global warming continues to increase exponentially as it is now, natural disasters like cyclones, storm surges, floods and tornadoes will consume the country underwater. This will massively affect not only the ecosystems of Bangladesh, but also our friends and family who reside there. Bangladesh is renowned for its exotic animal species, most notably the Bengal tiger. As a result of climate change, these animals will be completely extinct and we will lose these species forever. Bangladesh is our home and we must strive to protect it. But to do so, we must significantly reduce our CO2 emissions. We can do this if the UK government produce bills and schemes that mean less people are allowed to use older, more polluting vehicles and instead use vehicles run by renewable energy. The government must stop investing in non-renewable energy sources like fossil fuels that are terrible for our environment and invest in windmills and solar panels to power our country. We must enforce recycling laws, plant trees and educate people to understand climate change so that we can understand why we must change our ways. Thankfully, Tower Hamlets is already making changes to try and preserve the environment. The goal is to make our carbon levels to net zero by 2050 to reduce greenhouse gas production as fast as possible. If we continue making changes like Tower Hamlets is, we could reverse the change to our planet. The world is changing rapidly, and I want to end this speech with an important message. A little goes a long way. A small action that you can do, like deciding to cycle or walk to work, or to throw your paper and bottles in the recycling bin instead of the general waste bin, can make a huge difference. So let's work together to save our people, save our country, and save our planet. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much. Kaifa, you're in year 10, but your climate awareness is amazing, including you've given us quite a few advice, including a little can go a long way. So locally led climate actions is what we are focusing on, and Bangladesh High Commission would be looking into the locally led climate leaders, young people like you who are so driven and know so much about climate. Thank you very much for your comments. Before we go to, we have about 6 speakers from the young people who I request to keep it to less than 2 minutes. But I would request Mr. Farhan Masood Khan, who was supposed to make a remark at the end of the dialogue as a special guest and our media partner, and a person who, role of media is so important when it comes to creating awareness about climate change among the common people. Even amongst us, sometimes we're not aware how we are harming nature. But media has a very important role, and British Bangladesh media channels plays a very important role in communicating, watched by many British Bangladeshis. I give the floor to Farhan, so you've listened to all these young people and you've listened to our entire program to make some comments now. You have the floor, Farhan.
Thank you so much, Your Excellency, High Commissioner of Bangladesh. And from my bottom of my heart, I mean, I'm really grateful for inviting me to this event. I've heard these speeches from honorable ministers from both Bangladesh and the UK, the MPs and other distinguished guests. In particular, I've written some names, Professor Solimul Haq, who has actually rightly said, we are in a situation that the politicians needs to stop talking and act more. Just to start my speech, I would like to give, as the High Commissioner said, my name is Fahan Masood Khan, and I work for a London-based satellite television channel called Channel S Television. Climate change, climate inequality, and global warming are just a few of the issues we have been working with within recent years. We have worked with politicians, campaigners, scientists, and experts from various countries. However, this is my first experience to participate in an initiative where the youth of my two beloved countries are working on the same platform. I'm absolutely thrilled. So coming back to British Bangladeshis in the UK, we have now university graduates in almost every British Bangladeshi household who are passionate about Bangladesh. However, one of the challenges we face face here within our young British Bangladeshis is that we are yet to develop a functioning, the word is functioning awareness about the importance of climate change. This is very important. Multiple sectors are responsible for this reason, and I would like to highlight one. A spectacular one, unfortunately, the similarity between Bangladesh and the UK on the issues around climate change. According to a research by the Mayor of London, people living in parts of London with high proportions of Black, mixed, or other ethnic groups are disproportionately affected by air pollution compared to those in areas with a high proportion of white people. So my friends from Bangladesh, just for your understanding, the simple meaning of this information is that more destitute areas are affected by pollution than the wealthier areas, the rich areas. From a global context, the scenario is the same. Those from disadvantaged countries suffer more than the richer countries due to air pollution or climate change. Now we have our friends for Tower Hamlets. Tower Hamlets is one of the most disadvantaged area of London. Therefore, if you are from one of the most disadvantaged area of London or Bangladesh, the impact on climate change on you is pretty much the same. These unwanted similarities, however, can also bring the youth of both countries together and create opportunities of collaboration to fight this injustice. And here are my humble thoughts on the collaboration. It can be from the media perspective, it can be from the institutional perspective, it can be from one-to-one perspective. Using the power of social media. It can be simple combined Facebook, Instagram page administered by the admins of both countries led by youth. The group can highlight issues relating to climate change and thus increase awareness. And that group can be created today if the Honorable High Commissioner permits. Set up an independent working group led by young people. This group can engage decision makers, scientists, campaigners, experts from both countries and generate continuous pressure as well as awareness. Initiate exchange programs. This is very important. And I have been talking to the Honorable High Commissioner for many, many years about this, and I'm addressing this again. Seeing is believing, Honorable High Commissioner. If Bangladesh would like that the British Bangladeshi diaspora should also be concerned about this important issue in Bangladesh, then they can consider you, the High Commissioner or the Bangladesh government can consider organizing exchange programs or organized tours involving young British Bangladeshis from various sectors so that they have a hands-on experience on climate change and its impacts on people of Bangladesh. Green Festival, this is to the friends of my UK politicians and other institutions. Tower Hamlets Council or British government can consider organizing a green festival every year, inviting young experts, entrepreneurs from both countries. This fair can promote various consumer green brands and ideas. Hire British Bangladeshis. This is again to Bangladeshi friends and decision makers. This is, as an emerging country, Bangladesh is seeing a growing trend of direct foreign investment and hiring skills from abroad. Now, if we can consider hiring our British Bangladeshi experts and professionals, this can be for sustainable sector or any other sector. They will be our ambassador abroad on climate change. By hiring directly British Bangladeshis by hiring directly British Bangladeshis, we will achieve a British standard skill set, which is very important to carry out any work, and patriotism for Bangladesh, which we cannot buy, but comes as a bonus with every British Bangladeshi recruit. There is a saying that we are the last generation to combat the challenge of climate change. For young British Bangladeshis, in my opinion, this is our first and the last opportunity to fix the matters on climate change here in the UK, which will also have a life-saving impact in Bangladesh. With this note, I would like to conclude my speech and thank the British Bangladesh High Commission and the Honorable High Commissioner for organizing such a timely initiative and giving me the opportunity to speak before such a wonderful panel and audience. And trust me, I was really, really enjoying, especially the speeches from the youth from both countries. And I haven't been an event for so long, for so many months, but I can wait for another couple of hours so that I can hear more from our young friends. Thank you, High Commissioner. Thank you, Apa.
Thank you very much, Farhan, for your very substantive and thoughtful recommendations. You have been pursuing me for this exchange program, and funds are always a problem, but this time, I wouldn't disappoint you. The Mujib Climate Prosperity Youth Award that the High Commission has declared today, announced, which will be an annual award. It'll be part of the award that whoever will win this award from United Kingdom and Bangladesh, we will try to have them in the exchange program. So the person who wins it from Bangladesh will come to the UK. The person who wins it from the UK will have an opportunity to go to Bangladesh to a project of climate change of his or her choice. So we'll definitely try to organize that. And also we have this climate volunteer, youth volunteer program, a platform where we would like to register, and it'll be on our website. We'll be working with the ICT Ministry of Bangladesh to put that hub there, where we'll have young people and climate conscious people from both countries, particularly from the diaspora, to connect with each other and think about common climate challenges between the two countries and common solutions. So thank you very much for all your recommendations and use of social media. You'll be surprised to know I've come across the Coastal Youth Hub and the Fridays for the Future Bangladesh only through my Twitter account. So definitely we'll continue to use that. But I hope that more policymakers in Bangladesh, particularly we have the special envoy to our Honorable Prime Minister as CBF presidency. He's listening. He's still there. I see him there. We hope that the CBF presidency will have a Twitter account where they can reach out to, or even Snapchat to reach out to young people all over UK and Bangladesh. Thank you very much, Farhan. I'll go back to our young speakers. We now have, after Kaifa, Mr. Sohanur Rahman, Fridays for the Future Bangladesh from Khulna region, and he'll be representing, he's from Sundarbans area. And Sohan is the one who got in touch with me through my direct message at Twitter. So thank you, Sohan, for reaching out to me. And he's the one who was really eager to work with the High Commission to make the voices heard. Sohan, you have the floor.
Yes. Thank you, Her Excellency. I am Sohanur Rahman. I am working with Fridays for Future movement in Bangladesh as founding member, and I also involved with the Active Citizens Youth Leader of British Council, and currently work with two projects supported by British Council, its Climate Finance Project and COP26 Youth Engagement Challenge Fund. Under this fund, we involve many young people with the COP26, and recently privileged to meet with the Alok Sharma, the president of the COP26, and I also privileged to join the Commonwealth Head of Government meeting 2018 in London with our Honorable Prime Minister. So I would like to thank you, Bangladesh High Commission to UK and Tower Hamlets Council, for organizing this exciting event, because diaspora connection is very crucial to expressing solidarity and also to joint movement. So now I am telling about the Sundarbans ecology restoration. So we know Sundarbans mangrove ecosystem is part of the world's largest delta and fundamental to existence of the part of the world covers of 6,070 square kilometers in Bangladesh. This is the Sundarbans Reserve Forest, is largely declared a UNESCO World Heritage Site and Ramsar Site. So Sundarban is a shield to protect from very climatic natural disasters like Super Cyclone Amphan, Yash, and many super cyclones. So it's time to restore the Sundarbans ecology, and government has taken many initiatives to protect Sundarbans, but needed more coordinated initiative, and UK can support to protect our Sundarban under the British, UK and Bangladesh climate partnership. So we are very looking forward to work with UK British climate partnership, and young people can be heard of the UK-Bangladesh climate partnership and nature-based solution, our ecology, our ecosystem restoration, biodiversity conservation should be heart of the climate partnership. So Bangladesh is the one of the country in the world who declared planetary emergency after the British Parliament declared climate emergency. And Bangladesh Parliament recognized youth movement, especially Fridays for Future movement, and they taken the planetary emergency, more focus on biodiversity, more focus on nature and ecosystem, and currently closely work with our standing parliamentary standing committee and climate parliament to make a roadmap to implement this declaration. So now I am telling about the COP26, how we can leverage the presidency, two presidency. One presidency is the COP26 presidency of UK, and another presidency of our Prime Minister presidency of Climate Vulnerable Forum. So we young people are looking forward to partnering with the presidency, and we want our seat on the decision making or negotiation. We still intentioning that our voice would not be ensured in Milan conference because only 2 delegates are selected by the Milan government, but we are many young people are not involved in this process. And UK is telling that you should go Milan. So in Milan or Glasgow or Conference of the Youth, every conference should be ensure our meaningful participation with all kind of support, with scholarship and also with visa support, I think, and bring coastal young people, frontliners from Sylhet or our coastal communities to amplify their voice. So I think our diaspora community can amplify our voice and expressing solidarity. And we hope COP26 will be successful and inclusive COP, and not like others COP as a without result. Thank you, Her Excellency.
Thank you, Sohan. What wonderful recommendations you've given. You have highlighted that how you're on the fringe. You're a climate activist. You've met Alok Sharma. You've been to Commonwealth, and yet you haven't been invited, and you would probably not get the opportunity to go to Milan. And this is very true that it's difficult to make it all inclusive. But right now we are using digital technologies, and I hope that even if you can't be there in Milan physically, definitely we can request the Italian government to allow you to participate digitally, just like you're participating today. So definitely, those you're representing Sundarbans, and you're so when you met Mr. Alok Sharma, you know that UK is taking an interest in Sundarbans. So your recommendation that we should be working with UK government, Bangladesh UK climate partnership, in that rubric, Sundarban actually features quite prominently. We do hope that we'll be able to come up with a climate accord where Sundarbans will find a strong place. So I would do my best to ensure that. With this, I would like to give the floor to Shamima Khan, Queen Mary University, to make her comments from the UK.
Hi. Thank you, respected High Commissioner. I want to begin with the annual report of this year in London, which shows that this year's emission in Tower Hamlets has reduced by 12% compared to last year's emission, and a 64% reduction in emissions from 2007. This means that my council has met and exceeded its target of reducing its emissions by 60% from 2007 levels by 2021. However, it is important to note that these numbers can be skewed as the pandemic has drastically changed normal work routines and behaviors. Although there have been significant reductions in carbon emissions, there is still much to be done to include all aspects to help reduce carbon emissions. I believe simple changes can be made by introducing new policies in the local council that can help further reach the targets of zero net carbon status. Policies to reduce food wastage in schools and local businesses, reducing and recycling plastic, and introducing other methods such as putting wormeries to reduce food wastage that is accessible in smaller communities can be put into place. Raising awareness in schools about climate change and the radical effects it has all over the world, in particular countries further south, such as Bangladesh, India, and Madagascar. We are at a turning point. Climate change has been truly a global crisis in which we all have to share a burden. In many cases, it is countries such as Bangladesh that truly face the consequences of our actions. These profound repercussions have been exposed as Bangladesh is one of the most vulnerable nations impacted by global climate change. The quote, throughout the global pandemic has been no one is safe until everyone is safe. This statement should be held true to our climate change crisis, where our actions have led to severe natural disasters, droughts, famine, cyclones, and loss of biodiversity in many parts of the world. Given that we all know the consequences of our actions, COP26 is soon to be held. Consider our past commitments that were not achieved and prepare to build resilience in reducing climate change. We no longer can avoid litigations to make these changes come into effect. Thank you for listening.
Shamima, thank you so much. What a wonderful statement. I just learned that you went and lived in Bangladesh to teach in the rural areas. So what a role model you are to all the Tar Hamlets. And you lived in Tar Hamlets and you're now going to Queen Mary University. I just want to mention that, you know, you have mentioned about in your statement regarding the improvement of emissions in Tar Hamlets. So we were just listening to Farhana a while ago that how ethnic, you know, in pockets where ethnic community are living, those areas are actually have high pollution. So I hope that Tar Hamlets is an exception. And want to congratulate Mayor John Biggs and everyone working in Tar Hamlets and the people of Tar Hamlets, particularly, of course, our diaspora. We're a bit biased towards them. I'm sure they're playing a very important role in bringing down the emissions by 12%. So thank you very much for keeping us informed, but we definitely want to stay engaged with you from the High Commission for our volunteer work. If you're interested to do that, please get in touch with us and keep in touch. I now want to give the floor to Nazmun Nahid, Coastal Youth Action Hub, Sylhet. Haor region, as you know, that Hakaluki Haor, we showed a little bit in our video. Sylhet is the marshy and wetlands, and a large number, I would say more than 90% of the people from Bangladesh living in the United Kingdom are from Sylhet. So we have a little bit of bias towards Sylhet. You know, we had two representatives, one representing the Lawachara forest, looking at the biodiversity, and the other one is the marshy lands, the Haor region. You have the floor, Najmun.
Thank you, Harek. Assalamu alaikum. This is Nazmun Nahid from beautiful Sylhet, Bangladesh. I am working in Coastal Youth Hub and Bangladesh Scouts also. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to share something in this event organized by Bangladesh High Commission in London and Tar Hamlets Council. Especially thanks to the High Commissioner, Her Excellency Saida Munat Tasnim, ma'am, and the Tar Hamlets Council. Especially thanks to our Bangladesh Scouts chairperson, Abdul Kalam Azad sir also. You know, most of the Haor in Bangladesh are located in Sylhet. Hakaluki Haor is the largest Haor of Bangladesh and one of the Asia's large marsh wetland resources. Tangwar Haor is another largest Haor in Bangladesh. Hakaluki and Tangwar Haor are designated an ecological critical area. This Haor plays an important role in fish production of Bangladesh. Every winter, the Haor is home to about 200 types of migratory birds. There are more than 140 species of freshwater fish in this Haor. A total more than 550 species of animal and birds have been identified here, including some very rare and already declared as threatened, vulnerable, endangered, and critically endangered species. They, Haor, are the source of livelihood for the people on the bank of the Haor. These Haor, which are ecologically crisis, are being endangered day by day due to the expanding of tourism and climate change. Proper management is required to protect the biodiversity of this Haor. The government of Bangladesh has already taken and continues various steps to protect the biodiversity of this Haor. However, it is not only necessary to take the initiatives, but also to work on whether they are being implemented properly. Since independence, Bangladesh was maintained friendly relations with the United Kingdom. The United Kingdom has also been helping Bangladesh in various ways at different times. We hope that in the near future, the young people from UK and Bangladesh will work together on environmental issues, which will play an effective role in making the world livable for the next generation and restore the ecosystem. Regarding upcoming COP26, our goal is for the world leaders to see what we are doing, to see that a significant step for the climate action. No more empty promises. We want justice right now. Save the planet. Thank you.
Thank you so much. You also mentioned about justice. Najmun, and you spoke about the Hakoliki, how it's so important to maintain the marshlands and the waterlands and the wetlands in Sylhet. That's a very unique area of Bangladesh where you just mentioned 200 kinds of migratory birds. They actually fly in from Siberia and different cold parts of the world, from northern poles to our hemisphere, to find summer refuge or winter refuge. So definitely, the government, and I know you mentioned about the special envoy. So we'll be bringing, you also mentioned that how your voices can be heard about your locally led, climate action. So you're doing something to preserve Haor in Sylhet, and definitely, there should be, I'm sure there's a social media platform. Why don't you utilize that to give your views about Haors and make it more popular? You know that these Haors have been declared a special zone by the UNESCO as a cultural heritage of Bangladesh, and also world wildlife. So definitely, we look towards supporting this, your voice and your thoughts on Haor. We'll keep on promoting your views to social media. So thank you very much for participating today. We now have Ihsan Islam, former president of Bangladesh Society at the LSE, who I request to speak here. Ihsan is one way or the other linked to Tower Hamlets. He may have lived there or studied there, but now he's at the top school in London, at the London School of Economics. You have the floor, Ihsan.
Thank you, Your Excellency, Saida Muna Tasneem. So I did live in Tower Hamlets, and I'll try to make this as brief as possible. So regarding climate change, for me, climate change is more than just about sort of promises about reducing carbon dioxide emissions. It's also about the injustice associated with it. So, for example, countries like the USA or China, who are the largest emitters of greenhouse gases, are responsible for about less than half of global greenhouse gas emissions. Yet countries like Bangladesh, who, as you said, the carbon footprint is like 0.4%, are feeling the ramifications of it. So there's some injustice here, and there's also a moral hazard problem where the countries that are responsible for climate change are not feeling the direct ramifications of climate change. So my view is that if we want to tackle climate change, we have to incentivize those who have the power to make a change. And right now they don't have the incentive. Right now they don't have the urgency that maybe people in Bangladesh have. So we, for example, in the USA, if 1/7 of the USA population was in danger of becoming a refugee, I think there would be a lot more urgency regarding this. So we need to find a way to bridge that gap and to sort of solve the injustice associated with climate change. So for example, maybe countries such as the UK, USA, and China should pay for Bangladesh's flood defenses. Any system that can get rid of this moral hazard would be viable. And in terms of the foreign aid of the UK, I think it was Rushanara Ali who said that the UK government has reduced the aid to Bangladesh. I think that Bangladesh is entitled to aid from any country that is contributing to the problems, the climate problem in Bangladesh. So I think the USA and China should also contribute more to Bangladesh. And it's not aid, it's more so it's compensation. So yeah, I'll keep it brief, and thank you for letting me talk.
Thank you so much, Ihsan. You touched upon very sensitive issues here about climate justice. So, we've had John Kerry, Senator John Kerry visit Bangladesh, and also Right Honorable Arnab Sharma. So US, United Kingdom, they're leading G7 countries who are taking interest in climate change, with the US coming back. But however, the issue of compensation is one word they don't want to hear. So there is a great climate injustice here. And, Bangladesh, as CVF president, will take to the Human Rights Council with the demand for a special rapporteur on climate change and human rights. And we've been trying to table this resolution at the Human Rights Council for the past decade, I think, but we failed because the developed countries don't agree on that. They don't see the human rights and justice aspect of climate change. But, there will be climate refugees. Bangladesh already has 10 million because, every year with the cyclone or something, there are more refugees or climate migrants rather who all migrate to the city. But there's a great injustice, and perhaps you young people can make a difference and write to heads of governments to pay compensation to Bangladesh. With these words, I want to give the floor to Shaheen Billah from YouthNet Shatkhira Coastal Regions. We just have one more speaker, so I ask everyone to stay back so we can have a concluding comment and any questions. Shaheen, you have the floor from Shatkhira.
Assalamu alaikum. Hope you are well. This is Shaheen Billah. Can you hear?
No, go ahead, Shaheen. Yes, go ahead. We can hear you. Yes.
Thank you. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Hope you all are well. This is Shaheen Billah, coordinator of YouthNet Shatkhira. Thank you very much for inviting me and giving me the chance to say something at this platform. Organized by Bangladesh High Commissioner London and Tower Hamlets Council. Especially, I would like to thank Her Excellency Saida Muna Tasneem, High Commissioner for Bangladesh, to the UK and Mr. John Biggs, Mayor of Tower Hamlets Council for joining us. Here is the southwestern district of our country, under Khulna division affected by the huge number of natural hazards every year, like the other coastal area. Its biodiversity threatened due to over extent of biological research, highly practiced charm culture, high salinity problem, extreme level of arsenic contamination. Almost every year, coastal towns are being devastated by cyclone. Another storm is hitting people before they can recover from the damage. When the embankment is broken, salt water enters the locally. Millions of people are trapped in the water. The chair affectation has been started to prevent the embankment from breaking. Due to the acquired shortage of potable water throughout the coast, the demand for water is met throughout the year by collecting water during the monsoon season. To prevent this, government and non-government NGOs have taken several initiatives. My expectation from upcoming COP26, it would be an inclusive platform with concrete outcome. We want proper action, compensation for climate loss and damage without any empty promise. নিরাপদ ধরিত্রী সবুজ অরণ্য নিশ্চিত করবে দুর্জয় তারুণ্য। Thank you.
Thank you so much to Tarunno. 3 cheers to youth. Shaheen, thank you very much for your comments. You are from Shatkhira. I had visited Shatkhira with the UN Secretary General, former UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon. And, we particularly visited the UN projects with giving deep tube oil and rainwater reserve and the solar home system, because, Shatkhira is also, it's off-grid. Some of the coastal islands there, and you have the largest solar home system in Bangladesh and perhaps in the world. So you spoke about salinity intrusion, arsenic contamination, and repeated cyclones in the coastal areas and how people become climate refugees. So no one is more legit than you to complain about the repeated natural disasters in the coastal areas of Bangladesh and how more numbers of climate migrants and refugees move to the cities in Dhaka and other mega cities. The question of compensation comes again and again. But I think that, once we create a network or a platform, you perhaps could speak about these issues at a higher level. And when we have a summary, we'll forward these to our policymakers. Thank you very much. We have the last speaker of the day, Ms. Jaria Mirza, student, London Enterprise Academy. Jaria, you have the floor.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm Jaria Mirza from Tower Hamlets, and I want to give my thoughts on climate change, though thoughts are not enough anymore. The human species dies if the earth does too. We are intellectual beings with morals, thus we see abuse as wrong, as a crime. So why is it that when we abuse our planet, why isn't that a crime? Why do we not have climate police and climate laws enforced for civilians to follow, not just leaders? These are fundamentals for our survival. The UK is ranked 17th for the global emission of 1.1%, which has significantly decreased since the last 3 decades. About 43 billion tons of CO2 is emitted into the atmosphere every year. This has to change because global warming doesn't just occur within a click of a finger. It's a chain of events. It starts off with the greenhouse gases in the atmosphere, which doesn't allow the heat to escape once it's been emitted into the atmosphere, which results in the globe reabsorbing all this heat, results in the polar caps melting, which results in a rise in sea level. And due to this, countries like Bangladesh suffer. It sinks below the sea level rise. And what's so unjust about our world is that developing countries suffer 3 times more than developed ones. And again, I'll go back to Bangladesh and its vulnerable land. In the 2020 edition of German Watch's Climate Risk Index, it was ranked 7th, with 4.7 million people displaced. 984,819 houses have been inundated. 129 human lives have been lost. These are real numbers, and these are from government officials, and they're increasing ever so much every single day. We expect change, but so far it isn't happening. Climate change was caused by us, so it needs to be fixed by us together as a world and not as individual countries. From the upcoming Glasgow COP26, we want results. We want to see innovative technology in place. We want to see renewable resources, sustainable plans, and we want to see the bare minimum of afforestation plans in place. Because the green growth visions are real, the UK has proved it so bit by bit in the last 3 decades. And if the UK can take the lead in this and have other countries follow, we can reach net zero and save our planet, because it's crucial we do. And if we don't do anything, we'll have the blood of countless lives and a whole planet on our hands. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Jaria, you spoke about how UK, being the president of COP26, being a leading country, perhaps the first major Western economy to declare a net zero by 2050. So UK is actually doing brilliantly when it comes to climate change. And we have heard from Mr. Alok Sharma while he was in Dhaka that, the climate financing, supporting Article 6, carbon trading, carbon capture, investments from the private sector for developing countries, which you said suffer 3 times more than developed countries. All these are on the menu right now. And, from Bangladesh, we would work closely with the UK to work in these areas. We've come to the end of the program. I see that still about 100 people are there with us. But what's most amazing has been today that we have had actually young people joining us and connecting to the High Commission. From the High Commission, I thank all my colleagues who have supported this program and collecting young people. We've created a WhatsApp group. This is the WhatsApp group of climate activists and young people from Bangladesh. But I request all these very celebrated students and from LSE, from SOAS and UK and Tower Hamlets to join that WhatsApp group. So the High Commission will create a bigger WhatsApp group on our climate activists, and we want to connect our policymakers with this group. So we will work as a platform and a connectivity hub between young people in Bangladesh and young people in the UK. Right now, we're connecting to Tower Hamlets, and we have chosen Tower Hamlets, as I mentioned, that it's very historic, and it actually is home to the 50% of the British Bangladeshis that live in the United Kingdom. So it has it in its own right, has sort of a priority to connect to Bangladesh, because a large number of Tower Hamlets residents have their relatives, have their family and friends living in Bangladesh. So as Farhan had reminded me, from the High Commission today, we have declared that we will give an award to one from Bangladesh, one from the UK, but more importantly, creating the platform for climate volunteers we can create a action group where they can put in their ideas And we can even connect them to the special envoy to the Prime Minister for Climate Vulnerable Forum. And definitely I'll work with him on how to create a platform for young people from both Bangladesh and also from our diaspora, especially given that we are a CVF president, and especially given that diaspora is given top priority by our Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina, where she is creating all kinds of diaspora-friendly policies. So from the High Commission, we always stand next to our diaspora. We organize the Outstanding Education Achievement Award for the young people in Bangladesh, in the United Kingdom. And we've always seen Tower Hamlets children and young students, they just excel in their education. When it comes to equality report of the UK government, a couple of months back, I had a meeting with the Equality Minister, and she had praised that Bangladesh, when it comes to education and health, contrary to popular belief that we are lagging behind and more people are sick than other ethnicities, actually Bangladeshi ethnicity is doing quite well. It's within the top 5 when it comes to education. It's within the top 3 when it comes to health, consciousness and health and well-being. So we can take pride in our community, in our diaspora, British Bangladeshi diaspora, not only for supporting Bangladesh's War of Independence on the 50th anniversary, but we can take pride in our young people from Tower Hamlets. We can take pride in our young generation from Bangladesh. Everyone that joined us today, they only represent a minuscule at the tip of the iceberg, but there's so many out there like you, young people, who are making a difference. Small changes, small thing matters to build an ocean. So you are actually contributing your drop in the ocean of action and climate actions towards Glasgow. Glasgow is not the last COP that we will see, or probably Salim Bhai will go to, inshallah. So there are many more COPs coming. But as High Commission, we'll try to connect you to the right people, to the policymakers, and we'll continue to work with our Ministry of Foreign Affairs, our Honorable Minister, our members of Parliament, Bushnara Ali from here, Tower Hamlets, Naheem Razack, who take interest in young people, who take interest in climate. So with these words, I request everyone who's participated today to stay connected to us through the WhatsApp group. So we'll add everyone, but we want young people from the United Kingdom to visit Bangladesh and young people from Bangladesh to visit UK. Now, there is a red listing of Bangladesh by the UK government because of COVID crisis, but this is not the end of the world. Inshallah, it will be lifted, and inshallah, we'll be able to organize these visits and exchange program. And with these words, I want to thank everyone who's being with us on this at the event of the London Climate Week that we organized. I want to thank the Tower Hamlets Council, particularly the Mayor and his office, for supporting us. I want to thank Farhan. He has been helping us to collect young people from Tower Hamlets. It's very difficult because it's only Tower Hamlets. So to find young people with a lot of gist and lot of commitment to climate change and local issues, it was difficult for the High Commission. I want to thank him. He's helped us, and also others from our Councillor Asma, who's helped us collect some young people. And I want to thank the Coastal Youth Hub, Fridays for the Future Bangladesh, everyone that I've connected to through my Twitter account. That thank you for joining us today, but we will continue. This will not be the last dialogue. There'll be more dialogues, and we will always have youth representatives in any of the dialogues that we hold in the near future. In July, I'm inviting everyone that we would be holding one more dialogue. It'll be the CVF COP26 dialogue, the third in the series, and we'll be doing this dialogue on energy sector. So we hope to have our Honorable Energy Minister from Bangladesh, and please join us in that program next month in July. With these words, I'm signing off from the Bangladesh High Commission London, and thanking all my colleagues and everybody who participated today. Thank you, and let's save the planet. And don't forget about the Mujib Climate Prosperity Plan. It has everything on the menu to make Bangladesh prosperous when it comes to transforming our vulnerability to resilience, from resilience to growth and prosperity. Thank you very much. Long live Bangladesh-UK friendship.